video later. Be playing some Temur Clover tonight. Deck is sweet. Still like playing it. I'm at rank 11, trying to break into the top 10 and maybe hit number 1 if we go on a good streak. You never know. Let's just see what happens. Home for the holidays now. May or may not let my family know they can watch me on their computers. Don't know whether or not they'd be up for that. But good chance that my wife will pop in at some point to the stream. But for now, let's fire up a game and see who joins. Meanwhile, let me see if the deck extension's working. Not look like Stream Decker's working, so I'm going to go ahead and post the list in the chat right now for anybody who see it, and it'll be attached to the YouTube video as you watch. Today, as far as the deck goes, the big thing I'm experimenting with is trying to change the land base a lot, going for Fabled Passage, a lot more basics. Version's a bit less painful, has fewer lands that come later in the game. Trades off with having no early game scry. The Incubation and Incongruity gives me a little bit of selection to make up for that. Basically, I'm doing something closer to the list that just top forward to the Grand Prix. They're corresponding a bit with the person who built that. And seeing how it feels, so far it's been alright. Hard to tell any big differences, small samples. But I haven't hated it, I haven't regretted the Fabled Passages. We'll see how this goes. And let me also remember to swap in a better name for the stream here, which should feel quick. Alright, so stream title corrected, and with that, let's just jump into the queue and see what happens tonight. Been pretty impressed with the queue times on Christmas, honestly. I guess folks are vacationing home for the holidays and just playing some Magic. Alright, up against Phoenix. This hand is pretty bad. 5 lands and no sources of card advantage. I don't want to keep this. There are certain 5-landers you can keep with this deck, but that's not one of them. This hand looks better, or promising at least. I'm going to go ahead, keep it, and ditch the Mountain here. Because I have this Edgewelling Keeper, I really want to make sure I can actually cast Brazen Borrower. You want to keep the 2 blue sources, and then of course we also need to keep Stomping Ground. So just going to go ahead and start out with Edgewelling Keeper here. There's some argument that sometimes you want to hold it back in case your opponent has removal, but we just don't have a lot going on. Second Clover's a little sad. We don't have anything really to do with it yet, and Dismal Backwater does not necessarily make me think that our opponent's going to be putting a lot of permanence onto the battlefield. But we'll see what happens. Best start. But we got lots of draws that draw us more cards. Alright, now we don't have very many draws that draw cards. Let's what pops out. Alright, Lovestruck Beast is not terrible. We go ahead, drop this Fabled Passage, drop the second Clover onto the battlefield, and then at the very least, we're going to start making a lot of tokens. Pressuring the opponent a little bit with those. If you ever draw a Beanstalk Giant, that would be excellent. Thought Erasure, alright, yep. So these Dimir decks, I don't think they're necessarily bad matchups. They're certainly not the decks you want to mulligan on the play against. And yeah, I think if I had seen Dismal Backwater on turn 1, there's a good chance I wouldn't have run at the Innkeeper there, just because decks like this tend to have a lot of random removal spells. But anyway, so super interested in drawing lands here, but I don't know whether I want another forest or another island yet, because if I draw... I want to be able to make a token and play Lovestruck Beast this turn, so let's wait to crack the passage until we see what we're going to be doing. Alright, so Stomping Ground means I just get another island with this for sure. That makes every spell in the deck castable other than Escape the Wilds and the Great Henge, depending on what happens to this beast. But we're going to go ahead and make 3 tokens, and then cast the beast, and then probably get Ritual of Suited and Cry. At that point I might just scoop the game, because trying to top deck with just nothing going on is not the best thing. your decks, but let's see what happens first. Also curious to see whether this is kind of a control deck or more of a Dimir mill deck, Ritual of Soot. All right, I think we specifically need, all right, Incubation Incongruity is, let's try it. I'm at least testing this card, so I kind of want to see what it hits. It hits nothing. That's a great time to scoop, yeah. I don't know that I'm going to necessarily be keeping this one in the deck. I think it just feels a little too awful to miss. Hey, Vikram, good to see you. All right, so sideboarding against Dimir type decks, we basically just want to make sure that our cards are doing things. We definitely want to keep a couple of reasonable Fae of Wishes targets because Fae of Wishes is pretty good against these folks. What are we cutting exactly? So Lovestruck Beast looks a lot worse against cards like Ritual of Soot and also is not a very good attacker. Definitely want the fourth Escape to the Wilds. Definitely also interested in the second copy of the Great Henge. Problem with the second copy of Great Henge, though, is that suddenly we actually do want Lovestruck Beast around. So it's a bit of a conundrum. Actually, Brazen Borrower is probably the easiest cut here, right? Our opponent's probably not going to be doing much in the way of permanents. We didn't see Fire's Invention. We didn't see Vantress Gargoyle. I'm not sure I would even care about Vantress Gargoyle, especially. So I'm cutting the Borrowers. I want to leave the Pulsa Marasa and the Wants and Future in the board so that Fae of Wishes has something to go get. Chandra is also a good target in that sense. Haven't seen Mass Manipulation targets yet. Don't really know what they're going to be killing us with. Pretty happy to just go with this build for now. Some argument to keeping a Escape in the sideboard to wish for, but we have enough card advantage to wish for that I don't think we're gonna that's going to be our primary problem, is running dry. I'd rather just cast an early Escape and try to grind the opponent up that way. Interesting. So really wishing these Fabled Passages were Steam Vents now, of course. That's the most direct card that was cut for them. Can I keep this hand? I think I can. Against Thought Erasure decks in general, just mulliganing is not the best decision. And there's a pretty good chance we get to resolve one of these Fae of Wishes. At which point we can get a Once and Future and start grinding a little more. Just need some more lands to really get things going. Stomping Ground, not bad. Be happy to just throw this down untapped, attack. Bone Crusher the opponent end of the turn. Hopefully, one nice thing about this deck is we're really good at throwing out random creatures that are pretty distracting. Even if our opponent Thought Erasure is a Fae of Wishes, we get to Bone Crusher them, then cast a Bone Crusher next turn, and then they actually do have to do something about the 4/3 because they're probably not going to have a lot of board presence to compensate for it. Island's a nice one. Definitely just going to start by attacking here. There's a question of whether we drop Lovestruck or Bone Crusher. Seems like it's pretty clearly just Bone Crusher here. They're going to have a very easy time destroying this 1/1, I suspect. Okay, so just going to go ahead and attack. See if they want to do anything about that. All right, and because they didn't, so the question now is, do I drop Lovestruck Beast or Beanstalk Giant? Beanstalk Giant lets me use Fae of Wishes and have 2 mana open the next turn, but I don't know what I would even spend it on. Don't have much to spend it on. If I cast Lovestruck Beast, though, the obvious response is Ritual of Soot, but it's pretty likely they have a counter at this point. I think I'm pretty happy just to bait with Beanstalk Giant. If they counter this, it means they have to deal with Bone Crusher on their turn, which is fine. Curious to see whether this is Sinister Sabotage or didn't say please or something different. All right, let's grab this Island, play the Fabled Passage, and just go ahead and pass. Really curious to see if this is like Murderous Rider on the Bone Crusher, maybe. Opponent going to 8. Wouldn't mind that. Murderous Rider goes to 8. All right. As I said, I don't mind that. Lifelink's a little annoying, but they have Ritual of Soot after casting Murderous Rider. The Rider's going to die. See what this is. Thought Erasure. Nope. All right. I have a lot going on. I'm into it. Let's use this Fabled Passage for red here. There's some argument that if I draw Brazen Borrower, I might want to go bounce cast Borrower. But double red seems a little better. Hard to say, really. Probably isn't going to matter much. All right, now we have triple red, which is more than we're going to need. So have the option to wish and then cast a Fae, or just cast Lovestruck Beast. Pretty okay with the just use Fae to wish option. I think I grabbed Chandra off of that because they can't counter it, which forces them to use Thought Erasure. Grab Chandra, play this Fae so I can block the Murderous Rider safely. Their life total's not under any real pressure, but they do actually have to do things. Our goal is to keep them reacting to us, hopefully draw an Escape to the Wilds at some point. Make it so they really can't play Ritual of Soot without getting punished pretty hard. I'm assuming this is going to be a Thought Erasure, though. Cavalier of Gales. Okay, well, I have no idea what's going on. Don't mind seeing that because Chandra just kills it for free. And they're pretty much forced to react to Chandra next turn. All right, so go ahead and throw down the breeding pool. And then having this 8th land also means that we get to cast once in future off of Fae of Wishes next turn if they just kill the Chandra, which is what I would kind of expect to do. So we're just going to go ahead and name 5, kill this thing so they don't get the death trigger. Now it does look like they are just a big Dimir mid-range deck. So this could be anything. This could be like Liliana for all I know. Would be, I was thinking Grave Titan because I've been playing too much Vintage Cube. Could be other things. Could be Mass Manipulation for 1 for all I know. So anything can happen, but hopefully no matter what happens, Fae of Wishes is going to be here to maybe dig us out of it a little bit. This is also the point in the game where Edgewall Innkeeper draws a couple of cards after we cast it, almost certainly. Okay, opponent does not have direct damage for Chandra. That's cool. Now we get to start plussing a little bit. Lose this token, but that is A-okay with me. And there's Escape to the Wilds. All right, that was exactly the sort of thing we were angling for. So I'm going to go ahead and play this because we can play out Lovestruck Beast afterwards. It's pretty risk-free to do it. Okay. Get some lands. So I don't want to bounce the Murderous Rider, obviously, because then they just get to kill Chandra for free. Let's plus her before we forget to do that. And then see what happens from here. So we don't have to have a blocker because Chandra does survive damage, which makes me wonder if the right play is just throwing down 2 Clovers. That lets me Fae of Wishes for just my whole sideboard next turn, which seems kind of gas. Wouldn't mind that. In fact, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just do it while they're kind of low with nothing to do. Clover, Clover. They want to kill Chandra. They probably have to spend enough mana. They can't also Thought Erasure the Fae of Wishes. They want to play permanents. This Brazen Borrower is going to bounce all of them anyway. Means that Liliana, for example, isn't a big threat. But I also don't know what our opponent's doing. They could easily have all sorts of plays to crush us. But I find that usually these mid-rangey control decks just don't tend to line up well. We just do a little too much. All right, hitting me. So I assume that Chandra's probably getting Murderous Rider again, although maybe he just gets to plus again. I'm pretty happy just adding emblems to the opponent over and over again at this point. Can I resolve an escape to the wilds? I assume this probably gets countered. Here's what's going on. Definitely one of the spots where I wish I had more counter magic available now. I'm going to go ahead and make sure we're leaving up enough green to use once in future. I'm going to triple granted, see where that gets us. All right, triple granted. I am interested in once in future for sure. Also, definitely love Pulsamarasa, now that Pulsamarasa can get back a bunch of different creatures that are triple spelled with the Clovers. And then I suppose the last one could be Sorcerer's Spyglass to get rid of a Planeswalker. It could also just be Mass Manipulation. Yeah, Mass Manipulation, whatever. All right, we did a lot of things. Opponent scoops. Cool. Okay, that was more like how I want those games to go. Let's try doing it one more time. Brazen Borrower still doesn't look very good. We learned that they have Murderous Rider and Chemister's Insight. They don't seem like a mill deck. So I feel like they must be trying to do some kind of Planeswalker thing, but I'm still happy having Mass Manipulation in the sideboard against that. And Chandra in the sideboard. Those cards both did a lot of work. Yeah, I think having like 4-ish good sideboard targets is a pretty reasonable thing to shoot for. You might want 1 Henge in the sideboard and to bring a Borrower into the main, but now let's just run it like this. And of course, to all you in chat, thanks for hopping in. I have not really been paying much attention to stream notifications and stuff, so sorry if I'm missing any follows as I go. I don't know that I am. Hey, Soul C159. Good to see you. Ooh, bad to see this hand. I don't like that hand. This one is better. We're going to keep that. So when we're thinking about mulling against this deck, the question is always, what do we do through a Thought Erasure? And my answer is we're going to Borrower. Let's Borrower. The worst card in our deck at this point. Hopefully, they can't stop both Clovers. Okay, we drew the other Borrower. Great. So we're not going to draw any of those for a while. Not until after we shuffle the deck with Beanstalk Giant, at least. And hopefully, I mean, the goal is kind of that they just don't do anything until we get rid of them. Throw it in the Clover, probably get it countered by a Quench, I guess. Cool, negate. All right, that's one less counter that's going to be able to stop Escape to the Wilds. And then if they go for a Thought Erasure here, they have to choose between, oh, wow. Are they going to name Lucky Clover Escape to the Wilds? What do you name with this ego? Bay of Wishes, okay. I mean, that's not a bad one. That's probably the an Unmoored Ego that's worth a card. But I don't mind resolving this Lucky Clover that they have a way of beating. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Sure hope we get a third land at some point, but we do run 26. That's one thing. I do miss having 27 lands. But hey, having the Fae of Wishes out of the deck does make it a lot more likely we're going to hit lands, so that's a bonus. So now is Castle Lochthwain, so they're going to be able to quietly generate card advantage as we sit here doing nothing. Cool, cool. But hey, I don't think they're going to have an easy time killing us through double Borrow or double Bone Crusher. And we have a lot of card advantage in hand. So let's see what they can bring to the table. I don't mind Cavalier of Gales too much. It's not a big threat. They're not castling. Cool. You're hitting land drops, which is less cool, but whatever. Just give me a third land and we're going to be off to the races. Perfect. All right. Now we get to have some fun. So I'm going to go ahead and I think we just go for Island. I don't really want to cast Edgewell Innkeeper this turn, especially. The opponent has, I'm sure, is champing at the bit for the opportunity to actually do something. Yeah, let's just get Island. I don't really think we're going to have to Bone Crush or anything this turn. Worst case scenario, they cast a Brazen Borrower. I don't care about that especially. They're still not castling, which, okay. That's a Liliana Dreadhorde General. Our opponent has now lost the game. I don't think they can win from here. Because this is going to make a zombie. We're going to bounce. We're going to spend our 2 mana to undo our opponent's sweet 6 mana play, and then we're going to resolve and escape to the wilds with a Lucky Clover in play. And even if we don't have Fae of Wishes, I suspect that we're going to be able to grind through them. Although we have to be careful. Without Fae of Wishes in the deck, we're definitely in a position where it's easier to accidentally lose than it usually is. Okay, hit a bunch of lands and a Great Henge, sure. So Great Henge is going to be a tough one to cast, admittedly. We might end up losing that one, but I don't mind us having the second Clover. One of the easier ways for us to win this game at this point is just going to be hitting our opponent with a succession of Bone Crusher Giants. Liliana's back. We still don't care very much. Would love the other Borrower at some point now. But Liliana also just dies to some pretty small number of Bone Crushers. All right, let's... We have these land drops. I definitely just want to escape this turn. We're going to lose the Great Henge. There's no way we can get that into play, really. But I'm going to go ahead and make sure we hold up all of our colors. Throw down the second escape while they can't counter it. And either we hit another Clover or another Bone Crusher or another Borrower, and we just say goodbye to all their stuff, okay? So now what? I'm going to play the land drops out from the first Escape to the Wilds here. Don't really need to worry about our life total, I don't think. Let's put these down, hold the Brazen Borrower up. Oh, we get to Beanstalk Giant. Yeah, so let's Beanstalk Giant. We'll grab our last island. I think we're going to run out of cards here. Grab the last island so we can Borrower, grab a Forest so I can Lovestruck Beast. Grab the other forest darts. The question is, how do we actually win the game at this point without Fae of Wishes? And the answer is going to be carefully. I don't know what it's going to look like. This is definitely an unusual scenario for me, but I can't wait to see how this goes. We're going to make a big old token army here. And I definitely want to hold up mana because Liliana says, okay, it's whenever a creature you control dies. I'm still a bit worried about Ritual of Soot because it'd be unpleasant if they plus Liliana and then drew a bunch off Ritual of Soot. But I think for now, I still just want to hold back. We're going to lose Great Henge, but there's not much to do about that. And then next turn, we get to go Innkeeper, draw a bunch of cards. Maybe. Definitely going to be an interesting game. And I have no idea what's going to happen. So definitely take this hit. Whatever. Still not worried about life total. So cards we've seen on the opponent's deck include Thought Erasure, Cavalier of Gales, a bunch of other stuff. Ritual of Soot. Okay. So seems basically fine, I think. It would have been good to leave up double blue to be able to cast a Borrower here, huh? The question is, am I okay with my opponent drawing a card? I think I don't mind. I think losing Brazen Borrower to that bounce would be bad. I don't want to do that necessarily. Let this Liliana draw. Make a zombie, see if the opponent wants to do anything else. Land. Opponent's down to 3 actual cards in hand. Alright, no special desire to bounce the Lily. The question is, do I triple Bone Crusher her now? I don't think we triple Bone Crusher yet. There's always a chance we're just going to want to... Alright, so let's use these Fabled Passages. We're going to be out of basic... No, we shouldn't use the Fabled Passages. We should probably use lands. No. We have basically unlimited mana. I don't really need these lands. The question is, do I actually need the cards in the library to have a better chance of not dying? That is an interesting question. Okay, so I think... What is the actual plan to win? It's probably just bone crushing our opponent in the face a bunch of times, right? Like that's probably the actual plan we're doing. So why don't we start with... We can't play out a bunch of creatures with this Lillian play ready to use the ultimate. Why don't we do... Okay, here's the plan. Fabled Passage, crack it, grab a land of some kind. If anyone in the chat has brilliant ideas about this game, it's definitely a novel scenario for me, so I'm not sure what's going on here. Okay. Definitely happy to start out with Innkeeper, see if this resolves. Might not, but opponent's down to not that many cards in hand. Okay. Then I'm going to play out this Borrower. Draw cards off that one. Okay, so the correct play there was actually to cast Lovestruck Beast probably first, so that I could draw a card in response to this removal spell, but not too bothered by that. All right, score and hits. Innkeeper draws anyway. All right, Beanstalk Giant can get the rest of the lands out of my deck, which seems kind of clean, because I really am just looking for Bone Crushers at this point. And more Innkeepers. More Innkeepers also welcome, of course. I'm going to grab Forest. Forest. Mountain. Oh, we actually use the Brazen Borrower. I forgot about that little wrinkle. Interesting. Okay. We do actually have to cast this one. Let's go for this turn. Triple Bone Crusher. We're going to go ahead and Stomp Lily. Stomp Lily. Stomp Lily. I might be messing up here. Definitely a hard game to win with the phase out, and it's possible that I'm screwing something up. Gotta cast Borrower. I think I'm pretty happy having just 2 Borrowers in play at this point. They have Ritual of Soot. How bad is that? I think Ritual of Soot will not be the easiest thing to make. Let's see. Still not blocking zombies here. Nothing's about to get exiled. All right, I'm going to click next. End the turn here. We'll see. So my deck at this point is 22 cards, of which 3 are Bone Crusher Giants. 1 is a Lucky Clover. 2 are Escape to the Wilds. 1 is a Great Hen. Got 3 more Edgewell Innkeepers, if I correctly. Ooh. So it's super predictable what we're actually going to be drawing. The question is just what's our opponent going to be drawing. All right, that's a great sign. Castle Lockthwain ties up their mana a bunch. Not having any more bounces is tough, though, because it does mean that our usual answer to some Cavalier of Gales is a little offline at the moment. Okay. What's going on? You got Ritual of Soot for me? No Ritual of Soot. I like to see it. Okay. Gonna hit Lily. And I think just start casting Beanstalk Giants. I don't think this deck is going to have a lot of ways to kill Beanstalk Giants en masse. This is all of our basics except for 1 mountain, I think. We should have a mountain left in the deck, so I'm going to use Fabled Passage to grab that. And we got to parcel out threats carefully, but I think double Beanstalk feels like it's about the way to go. Would suck to run into Mystical Dispute, but I think we can just cast double Beanstalk even through Mystical Dispute. Yeah, we exactly can. Okay. Second Beanstalk. Yeah, this is going to be real interesting. I do not have a great prediction for... Actually, Ritual of Soot just kills all their zombies too? Yeah, to heck with it. Let's just play this threat out as well. Let's just say, come and get me. Can you do it? I'm not sure you can. That felt like maybe a Mystical Dispute being held up. Could also have been a Murderous Rider. That's a scry, alright. Okay, blue-black deck. You don't have Kaya's Wrath. Your, if you had Finale, Finale's not going to do it. So can you kill 2/7 converted mana cost creatures? Chemister's Insight's not going to do it. The Cavalier of Gales will be a good blocker for a little bit. There's a third 17/17 coming down next turn. Make that 18/18. Perfect size for you. Murderous Rider, alright. That's go to 16, go to 10 off the Borrowers. I think we might be doing it. I think that blue and black might not be the best color combination to handle what we're doing. Opponent's library is fairly large. They're not going to run out of cards, but let's see what they can actually do. Is it just cast Murderous Rider and desperately block? I don't mind the sound of that. Okay. Escape to the Wilds. All right, Escape to the Wilds. Getting a Bone Crusher Giant. Well, Escape the Wild's getting 2 Bone Crusher Giants definitely kills the opponent, and I think there's actually a pretty good chance we just draw our deck with this. Yeah, okay, we win. I think we win at least. Not gonna play this last Fabled Passage because we are out of basics. Yep, we win. Okay, great. The deck finds a way. That was actually not that hard in the end, funnily enough. So stomp you, stomp each of the zombies once, stomp the Murderous Rider again, and that's game. That was cool. All right, we got a sweet first match for the stream. Thanks everybody for showing up and watching. Don't know if we're actually going to go up in ranking at all, but that was really fun. That was great. Oh man. Nope, no change in ranking, but still a good time. Let's jump right back in. If anybody has any questions about the deck, by the way, feel free to ask. I posted the link in the chat. It'll also be attached to the YouTube video you're watching if you are watching this on YouTube. Okay, I see that we have somebody who might want to join the stream. Why don't you come on in, Tammy? Say hi, the viewers.
Hello, viewers.
You see yourself on the screen here. Come in a little more.
Oh, I'm really short.
Oh, you're delayed actually, so you're gonna pop in. There you are.
Oh, well, that's really weird.
Sorry, you're on a bit of a delay here, but this is my wife Tammy. She's just here with my family for the holidays and just hanging out. She does appreciate Magic to some extent, although she is not a player yet. Oh, Agent Conundrum says hello.
Hello, Agent Conundrum.
Agent Conundrum, your avatar is exactly the same dog that we have with us.
Yes.
During the holidays, actually, funny enough. Yeah, my sister brought her dog for a week-long visit. First a dog in the house in my life. Choop, thanks for the follow. Good to see you.
Congrats on winning your...
Thanks, baby. You don't have to stick around if you don't want to, but we're going to roll it. Try and roll right over I'd snapped at. This hand looks pretty good. We'll try it. Thanks. All right, this is a great chance to test Incubation Incongruity. Probably going to play that and Innkeeper on turn 2. Fabled Passage, still looking okay. Enough colored sources. Opponent double mulliganing. I will say, I think I've been thinking about this Temur Clover deck a lot. Surprise, surprise. And my favorite thing about it might just be the consistency. The fact that all the cards are good, and that the cards are mostly pretty flexible, and that Beanstalk Giant gives you sort of a lot of access to colored mana, means you don't have to mulligan that often. Now, obviously, triple mulliganing like our opponent has done is just really unlucky. No deck in the format should have to suffer through that. But I noticed that I feel like my mulligan count with this deck is just lower than that a lot of opponents are suffering with their various things that they're playing, because all the cards are kind of good. You can just keep a hand with a bunch of Borrowers and Bone Crushers. It's fine. Okay, so see if we can figure out what I'd snapped at is doing. Lovestruck Beast, not that descriptive, but it's something. So definitely just going to start with Incubation and Innkeeper here. We hit off this. Bone Crusher Giant, cool. Almost a miss though, notably. I still think Incubation is just a little too risky with 24 creatures. I don't remember what the odds of missing are, but it feels like it's something like, I don't know, 10%, and you have to kind of mediate by like what are the odds you even keep a hand that doesn't have creatures in it. All right, so this turns out to be Gruel, and this is a Bone Crusher Giant, which is sad. I don't like seeing that happen. We kind of need that Edgewell Innkeeper, but that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and don't feel a strong need to take out the token just yet. We're just going to go ahead, Fertile Footsteps for a mountain. Opponent knows I have this Bone Crusher Giant, so I guess me getting a mountain might lead them to deploy the Bone Crusher instead of the Lovestruck if they have the option, because they know I can just bounce their token. But that's fine. Don't mind that. We should probably be in a good position to race as long as we draw like normal Magic cards from here on out. Hey, Agent Conundrum. Yep, don't blame me for being afraid to play any more ranked. I obviously have the luxury to be able to play now, but if you feel like you have the ranking, definitely just ride it out, and I'll see you in the upcoming Mythic qualifier, whatever is being played. Okay, so Bone Crusher comes down. Unfortunately, we can't... the ideal play here would just be to stomp the 1/1 and cast the Bone Crusher, so I can block their Bone Crusher and still get some value off of it. But with that not being an option, I think my play is going to be take 2, bounce the token, and then just cast a Borrower. I think we can be a little bit... we don't have to be too conservative with the life total here. We want to make sure that they don't get the chance to cast an Embercleave, of course. So if we can get to the Beanstalk Giant stage of the game, that's usually a good sign. But can't discount the deck too much. If they have like another 1/1 on top of the Lovestruck Beast, this could get awkward because Brazen Borrower is one of our worst cards against Gruel. So hard to say how much damage we are going to end up taking off the mana this game compared to if we still had Fabled Passages. Really know that number. Play Theft gets rid of you, sure. Alright, would love an Innkeeper, would love an Escaped Wilds even is pretty good here. A Lovestruck Beast would be fantastic. All kinds of great draws are available to the deck at this point. What ends up happening? Alright, so opponent's got 2 cards in hand. Fae of Wishes, that's promising. So now we have the option to... we could Fae of Wishes for Return to Nature. That turns off Embercleave as an option, while leaving us the ability to Brazen Borrower a Questing Beast or Brazen Borrower or Bone Crusher Giant to 1/1 if our opponent happens to cast one. The issue there, of course, is that Fae of Wishes is capable of getting much more powerful cards. I just don't think that any of them are that good for us. Definitely a little puzzled about what the play is. We have a Great Henge we could fetch, but nothing really to play with it yet. In order to have Embercleave, they need to have a 5th land. I can still just bounce the Bone Crusher if I want to, but then they can stomp and just recast it. We're definitely attacking. Let's use that to burn up some... Attacking is without question the thing we're doing. Okay, I've decided that I think pretty into using Fae of Wishes this turn. I think dropping to 8 should be pretty safe here. Especially since Fae can come down and block Bone Crusher. Really just trying hard not to lose to Embercleave. I could also get Aether Gust. Actually, yeah, never mind. Aether Gust is way better. Gust doesn't permanently stop Embercleave, but because I have the Brazen Borrower, Embercleave is not going to be an actual concern. And Aether Gust just cleanly stops a lot more things than Return to Nature does. So really would be great if they didn't have another Bone Crusher right now. We can stop a Pelt Collector, we can stop an Edgewell Keeper. I'm going to try to avoid gusting the Bone Crusher Giant if I... Okay, opponent doesn't have much going on. In that case, I'm pretty happy just to Bone Crusher them. It does change the clock a little bit if I'm mostly hitting Brazen Borrowers. And I don't think I can afford to wait around too much here. They don't have much in the way of instant tricks. Okay, so go ahead and attack. And they don't really have much that has Flash, so I think the answer is to throw down a Beanstalk Giant. Let's see, so if they play like a 1/1 and then attack with Lovestruck Beast, Bone Crusher Giant, I would die as a result of playing Beanstalk Giant. So actually that's stupid. I don't need to do that. I can just Bone Crusher Giant, leave up 2 different pieces of interaction, and be in completely reasonable shape. The question is, should I also play Fae of Wishes? In that circumstance, if they play a 1/1, they can attack with Lovestruck Beast and Bone Crusher Giant. Then I can still Aether Gust whatever they want to do. Yeah, I'll play Fae of Wishes here. Yeah, not thinking through the plays too much. I don't want to bore y'all on Twitch too much. But this feels pretty safe. Okay, they have a Pelt Collector. Question is, do we gust that? If we gust that, they would need specifically a land in order to cast Embercleave. Specifically, a land. If they do attack with Lovestruck Bone Crusher, I can double block the Lovestruck Beast and kill it, go to 4 off Bone Crusher. I can Aether Gust and Embercleave if they have one. But then Pelt Collector is still just sitting around. Alright, I have a timeout to burn while I think. I feel like Aether Gust just opens up a few more things to resolve than I would really like to be able to resolve. I'm going to let that happen. I think with the interaction I have, I feel pretty safe just trying to block my opponent. There are combinations of cards they could have that could punish this, but not feeling too terrible. I also have the option to trade with Bone Crusher and block the Lovestruck with Fae of Wishes. Here they come. That would leave me at 8. I feel like blocking Lovestruck is a little closer to being where that's at. That gives them a 2/2 Pelt Collector. Actually leaves me with no blockers. So why don't we just do this? I need to block the Lovestruck Beast? Going to 3 isn't that different from going to 2. And if I can keep Pelt Collector off the board, which I can, the opponent goes to 8, then 1. Oh man. Tricky, tricky. Yeah, let's do this. I think I'm going to try going to 3. I just have so many answers to Pelt Collector. They don't have direct damage spells that deal 3 damage. The Pelt Collector does grow a bit, which means the Lovestruck Beast can't attack anymore, which is good. That's something that I should have been thinking about, of course. And, okay, looks like they have nothing. I'm not really going to be using interaction here, I don't think. Lovestruck Beast is an excellent draw. Freedom, just go ahead and do this. Do this. Leave up an Ether Gust. Back for 4 here. We have 2 blockers. So be pretty safe against almost anything. Lovestruck Beast can't attack. They just have a 2/2. Like Questing Beast can still block everything in that scenario. I can also stop Questing Beast. The bounce spell. Bloody, Merry Christmas! Hi there! Thanks for the host. R for you a lot. So you're asking about Fae of Wishes earlier. Do you mean trying to bounce Fae of Wishes back to my hands and then go to escape? I feel like that would take too much mana and time. You might have thought the Brazen Bar was a Fae of Wishes in my hand. Alright, so sideboarding against Gruel, by the way. We like the Great Henge a lot. Great Henge is great. It just gains life, and they have a hard time killing Lovestruck Beast, so it tends to be easy to cast. Escape the Wilds is pretty slow. We definitely like Ether Gust a lot. Flame Sweep doesn't tend to hit enough of their cards to matter. It hits like Rimrock Knight, Edgewelling Keeper, maybe Pelt Collector if you're lucky, but you're usually not that lucky, unfortunately. Chandra's a bit slow as well. There is some question about whether we want to be bringing in... So actually, I think we cut Incubation and Incongruity. I don't think this card's good enough. It's nice instant speed removal, but it just misses way too often on the Incubation side once we're taking out some creatures, which we're likely to do. Or that is, if we left them in, we'd be having to take out creatures. Pretty down, just take out 1 Fae of Wishes, because we have fewer targets for it now. It's also kind of a slow card against them in general. As far as main deck stuff goes, there's some argument for Mass Manipulation. It's slow but devastating when it works. I think I just want to be maxing out on cheap interaction. Chandra's an option, but 3 damage is not that much to most of their stuff. Return to Nature, being able to stop Embercleave is cool. It may be that we're trying to we should be playing that over Fae of Wishes, because it also stops... Yeah, sideboarding often just comes down to how likely is it that you have time to use Fae of Wishes. I think if we're going to win a game against Gruel, we generally have to assume we're going to have time to use Fae. Options there. Wow, so you're up to 23 viewers. I think that might be a new record for the stream. In any case, welcome to all of you. Just trying to battle it out for top 10 with Temur Clover. Most fun deck in Standard, if I do say so myself. Don't having a little trouble with sideboarding, that makes sense. The deck does a bunch of different things. We also didn't even play a Lucky Clover that game, so they might be wondering, is this even a Lucky Clover deck? Who knows? It is a Lucky Clover deck. How important is Lucky Clover given that we lost? I mean, they mulled to 4, so they're probably not taking this too seriously. And honestly, if they had mulled to 5, that game might have been very difficult. If they mulled to 6, they just had like 1 to 2 more spells. Things would have been hard. I don't love the Gruel matchup. I prefer Embercleave deck than the other stuff. This hand is interesting. We have an Ether Gust, which is great. We have a Great Henge, which is essentially not a magic card right now. We can't really treat this card. You have to say that Clover plus Borrower plus Ether Gust is going to do a lot here. I think I'm down for it, especially because Great Henge does become a card later in the game. But it's a close hand. I wouldn't blame people who mold it. They have a fast start. Borrower is at best going to slow them down. I mean, I guess Borrower always slows people down, and that's pretty much the only thing it does, but looks like they're not coming out too quick, which is good. Definitely going to start with Fabled Passage here, just to make sure I have double blue available on turn 3 after I play the Lucky Clover. And at this point, I'm going to wait to crack Passage. It almost never matters, and honestly, just to like not have these resolve triggers up all the time, I like cracking almost immediately. But in theory, whether we crack for blue or red might make a difference as to whether they think we have a Borrower or a Bone Crusher. We'll see. This is the kind of hand that is like 1 copy of Beanstalk Giant or Bone Crusher Giant or Lovestruck Beast away from just being fantastic. I'm hoping we find one of those. Or Ether Gusts. I would also be okay with more Ether Gusts. Probably even have time to get to Escape to the Wild. Let's see. Okay, what's it going to be? Paradise Druid, Lovestruck Beast making a token. Is that all? Love to see that. I love it when that's the only thing they're doing. This is a hand that is going to be pretty good at making sure Lovestruck Beast can. Beanstalk Giant, that's one of the ones we were looking for. I like it. I like it. Let's hope they don't kill this Clover. But even if they do, it's going to take their turn, which means they can't cast Lovestruck Beast. Fine as well. Okay, so we got the Smashy Night Boy. Little Spellbreaker, what's it going to be? Just Lovestruck Beast. Love it. Love, love, love what's happening here today. Fine, fine. Magic platform. All right, so now we just double Beanstalk. Gonna grab Forest Island. Pull up Brazen Borrower, and totally willing to just bounce Beast and Token if I have to. That just like ties up their mana a lot. They cast a Questing Beast, then I get to bounce like Questing Beast and Token, which is amazing too. If they move to combat. Worst case is like a Gruel Spellbreaker. Even that's not too annoying. Play a Questing Beast. Play a Questing Beast. Do it. Do it. Yeah! Yeah, alright. Well, no to you. No to you. Brazen Borrower is bomb. Card so much. There's another one. Okay. That is definitely another Brazen Borrower. Unfortunately, we don't have triple blue right now. There was some argument for actually getting double blue off Beanstalk Giant, and I probably should have. Because there's a pretty good chance I was going to be playing Gust and Borrower this turn, even if I weren't doing anything else, but don't mind leaving up double Gust. There's a chance that it's even right, even if they just play Questing Beast, to just play Borrower this turn so that I can play the Great Henge next turn. Just have that on the battlefield, because they don't seem to have artifact removal. But they also might have just prioritized their artifact removal below other stuff. See what happens. Also not the worst thing to just Ether Gust them and move on to the next turn. So many of our draws are excellent now. Any land, just cast Beanstalk Giant. That is one nice thing about not having Scry lands, is knowing that any land in this situation does just cast Beanstalk Giant. Even if they try to go like Innkeeper plus Questing Beast so that their Lovestruck Beast can attack, we can borrow both of those, pull them back into their turn. Okay, Questing Beast is in, sure. And in it comes. So this is the big decision. Do we Ether Gust this or not? I think I'm okay playing it very safe here, just Ether Gusting the Beast. It's like a pretty reasonable thing to get rid of. We're going to have to deal with it eventually. And even if I can't cast the Borrower here, alright, Beanstalk Giant again is totally fine. Seems great actually, because now I just get to get my other two islands out of my deck. Which means I definitely get to go for a Borrower plus Borrower or Gust plus Borrower play. Actually, I don't need both islands. That's overkill. I'll just grab a forest. So we have 3 blue untapped. Perfect. All right. That's one nice thing about the basic land count in this deck. You definitely can be very free with your colors. The awkward side. So now it feels like we're just in a tremendously good position. One start was obviously slow, but that tends to be the thing. Is Gruel just not a good deck when you don't have a green 1-drop out? To be fair, their deck has green 1-drops out a lot because they do play a lot of green 1-drops. So not at all saying that there's like something wrong with that. We're getting attacked. Question is, do I Ether Gust the Questing Beast again, or do I double Borrower? Pretty down to just Ether Gust, I think. Well, one benefit of doing Borrower is that it gives me more... Just Ether Gust again, whatever. Out of here. One good thing about the Gruel deck is that Ether Gust deals with pretty much everything that Borrower does. I guess Shifting Ceratops is an exception, but they don't seem to have a Shifting Ceratops. So now, okay, Lovestruck Beast is cool. Now I just get to play... I guess they're going to play Questing Beast again next turn, it looks like, and I can board at that point. Let's just do... Play Great Henge and then use Lovestruck Beast and cast Lovestruck Beast. That's actually probably a little better than throwing down a Giant. Is it? No, it's not. Giant's better because it's going to make Great Henge super cheap next turn, and it's going to technically be attacking first. That would be the correct play, but whatever. Don't think they're running Shock. And now our sweet double bounce spell gets to start just quietly beating them down, putting a little bit of pressure on them, forcing them to think about their plays a little harder. Every card in this deck playing multiple roles, and it's Alright, they're not even attacking because they don't want to trade the questing beast, which is weird. That seems like a clear attack because worst case scenario, you're gonna have to trade it when when Beanstalk Giant attacks anyway. But sure, okay. So now we just play Great Henge. Might be a concession Great Henge, we'll see. Okay, it's not. Get to cast Stuck. Okay, it was a concession Great Henge, and maybe we gain a rank this time? Second time's the charm? Rank 10, okay, cool. It's gonna take a long time to get to 1 at this point, but I'm in. Let's just keep going. So to all you folks who are newish to the stream, welcome. Thanks for joining. Sorry for my lack of bells and whistles. I'm still new to this stuff, but I love having your support, and I love that you're hanging out to watch me play Lucky Clover on this fine Christmas day. Today's big experiment is that I'm trying some copies of Incubation Incongruity, and I'm also trying the new More Basics and Fabled Passage mana base. Ooh, a follower following me. Thank you, Rizaleo. Great to have you. Can't keep double Fae of Wishes 2 lands. That's not good. This hand is much better. So what to keep here is interesting. This is a hand where if they don't remove Innkeeper, I kind of have the option to go Innkeeper, curve into Fae of Wishes, draw a card, curve into Lovestruck Beast, draw a card, which is really cool. If I'm not doing that, if I put back Fae of Wishes versus Escape, I think I'm okay putting back Escape here. I think it's a close call, and I wouldn't blame anybody who wanted to put back Fae. But I like the idea of just being able to curve out and have some defense open. Okay, so play the land that can do both Innkeeper things and Fae of Wishes things. I'm going to play an Overgrown Tomb, so I don't expect them to have an answer to Edgewall on the second turn here. Trail Crumbs, okay, Jund Food. All right, that makes me somewhat less inclined to want to play out Fae of Wishes right away, because I'm probably going to want to do this to actually get a real card off it. Let's do this, attack. Yeah, so in this matchup, we really want to be killing Trail of Crumbs pretty fast if we can, using Fae of Wishes or something like that. Vertus Rider, sure, okay. That card is a pretty bad one to have against us in general, so I don't mind seeing it. Lucky Clover's cool. I'm not going to play it right now, but it is cool. Hopefully I have something else we can do next turn so that I can go like Clover and something else. Brazen Borrower bouncing Food and Trail would be neat, for example. Bone Crusher Giant to kill a Murderous Rider. Lots of good options here. Now this matchup is tricky. We don't usually aggro them out. Usually the way we win is eventually by doing cool stuff with Fae of Wishes. All right, opponent's got the Familiar, got the Food, which is turning off our attacks for now. Yeah, don't really want to give them the free draw off of Trail for now. That doesn't seem worthwhile. It would take up some of their turn and eat a food, which is going to get eaten eventually. Huh. But how much are they struggling for stuff to do? That's my question. I think I am more into... I'm going to play Fabled Passage here to thin. Am I going to do that? I'm not going to do that. Well, okay, we actually are going to play Fabled Passage to thin, because next turn I'm not going to be spending more than 4 mana on the Fae anyway, since I'm getting 1-drops off it. So we're just going to grab another island whenever, it doesn't matter too much. Play Lucky Clover. And we'll just wait. Another bonus of waiting is they don't get to attack with Murderous Rider for free. This is obviously kind of a weak start. Would have been maybe better to have Escape than Fae here, as it turns out, but we didn't really have any way of knowing that. Let's hope they don't get an Oven immediately. But even if they do, we can turn it off with Fae of Wishes. Another Trail, okay. So we're definitely going to be gunning for a Return to Nature off of this Fae, if we can. Another Island. Yeah, not great, not great. All right, so this is interesting. What are we granting for? Definitely want Return to Nature, and I think I might just want Once in Future so I can kill the other Trail as well. Great Henge is an interesting option, given that I have this Lovestruck Beast, and Lovestruck Beast is probably going to live through the turn. Huh, interesting. Okay, so I'm going to grab Return to Nature, and I think I grab Great Henge as well. That means next turn I just get to go cast Great Henge, and then play both Fae of Wishes and Return to Nature if they can't kill Lovestruck Beast, which is pretty sick. Still not a great situation. They get to draw like several cards this turn. Not fun, but Great Henge is like a good first step in beating down Jund, or maybe Golgari Food. Golgari, haven't seen red mana from them yet. Still haven't seen red mana from them. This is Golgari food. It's a much better matchup because by far the cards I hate most out of the food decks are Mayhem Devil and Corvold. What they're digging to. So they eventually were going to hit this Witch's Oven. That's clear enough. It was always going to happen. They can't draw too many cards off it, which is good. All right, and of course, because they have Oven, now our strong priority is just going to be getting rid of the... I think it's just getting rid of the Oven. We could try to snipe the Familiar from the graveyard, but I don't think they're going to fall for that one. So, just making sure we have mana to do all the stuff I want to do. I should, yeah. All right, play Great Henge. Go ahead and just return to nature on the Oven here. Yeah, I think we just kill the Oven. Annoying to give them a bunch of trail triggers. But we do actually need to make sure that we're getting rid of the card that's going to start killing us and giving them lots of extra triggers. Put this down, throw down Fae. So good news is we can recycle Fae pretty easily now that we have both Henge and the other stuff going on. And now I'm going to attack with Lovestruck Beast because we have a blocker for Murderous Rider. If they do bring the cat now as opposed to next turn, they only get to get one card off it, which is cool. They just took the damage. Okay. Opponent prioritizing card advantage. I see you. They could have Casualties of War. Because it's the Golgari version, there's a good chance they have Casualties of War. That would be sad. I wouldn't want to see that. But this might bode no casualties for me. We'll see. The fact we drew another Fae of Wishes, by the way, is excellent. Oh, all right, they are Jund. That change much? How much that changes? Forest and a Blood Crypt, so there's no obvious source of extra food for them. At some point, we're going to probably want to go grab Ember Cleave, although this Murderous Rider makes that play a little less interesting. Agent Conundrum, yeah, to get to your question belatedly, Spyglass was sort of a consideration. At that time, they didn't have an oven in play. Turning off Cat might have been interesting, but they have a bunch of other ways to make food, so we're definitely getting Spyglass this time around. Because that just makes, especially now that we have the Henge out, it just makes it really annoying for them to pick out what their Casualties of War is even supposed to be targeting. Yeah, I'm not surprised to see him just Murderous Rider Fae of Wishes. The fact that Fae can come back to my hand makes it very dangerous for them. Edgewall Innkeeper is a fantastic draw, of course. Love seeing that one. So it looks like this turn we want to use Beanstalk Giant, which is going to give me access to... Beanstalk Giant is -1 mana with the Clover out, so right now I have 9 mana. I'm going to have 8 mana using Beanstalk, which means I can still double Fae plus cast Innkeeper plus cast Spyglass. What I should do first, technically, is do Spyglass stuff, but unfortunately I can't. Yeah. Get Island Forest here. We have plenty of red mana. Put that at the moment. I guess technically Casualties of War could take us off double red, so that would be maybe a better plan. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna use Fae, and we're gonna grab what? Now we have a little more room to maneuver. I definitely want Spyglass. And we could do Mass Manipulation, which is a good answer to Corvold. We could also just do Ether Gust, which stops a lot of scary things from happening in the future. Once in future lets me dig back Fae of Wishes. So let's just do that, actually. At this point, our life total is pretty safe. We have enough mana to do fun looping thing. So let's just cast Sorcerer Spyglass, see what's going on. Most likely name. Okay, so they got Corvold Mayhem Devil. No food sources, fortunately. Can't turn off Corvold and Mayhem Devil. We're just going to turn off Cauldron Familiar. And now we know for sure that it's going to be a very high priority of ours to try and track down a way to stop Corvold, which we can do with Once a Future into Fae of Wishes. That's quite doable. We can also just rip a nice Brazen Borrower here. Wouldn't mind that. Lucky Clover's not bad either. No attacks. Murderous Rider attacking us back kind of makes them life total even anyway. Hope they didn't just rip Casualties of War. Nope, Oven, which they can unfortunately use, but they can't use Familiar. So Oven is still strong. I don't like seeing. We're going to get probably, I don't even know how to count here, but going to get a couple cards off the Corvold here. But Once in Future does let me kill the Oven. And or stop Corvold this turn. Bonecrusher Giant is... Okay, actually in combination with Lucky Clover that lets me kill Corvold, they could then Oven the Corvold. How much mana do I have? 1, 2, 3, 11 mana? So I can use Once in Future, and then I can kill the Oven, and then I can still play Lucky Clover and kill Corvold? That seems like a good turn to me. I'll do that. We're going to target Return to Nature and Fey of Wishes for sure. Second Innkeeper is not that tempting at the moment. Okay, then we're just going to go ahead and kill the oven because they still don't have any food sources going. And we're doing this in parts so they can't sack Corvold to itself when we triple target it down with Bonecrusher Giant and draw a card off of it. And also because I find that once they have the alright, so they go ahead and do this, get a card off of Corvold. Sure. But this leaves them with oh, wait, hold on. Oh no, I did this wrong. Now I can't kill Corvold. So that's my bad problem here. Well, I guess we'll see if they block Lovestruck Beast. This is going to be interesting. Yep, that's my bad. I'm not usually in a position to be able to Bonecrusher down a Corvold. Certainly my fault for not realizing what was going to be possible here. Going to go ahead and attack with Lovestruck Beast. The good news is if they try to sack the clue for the food, I get to kill Corvold in response to that once I have the other Clover down. And I'm at a nice healthy life total. Our opponent, meanwhile, is not at a healthy life total. I'm going to go ahead, play this Clover out, and see if they make a mistake that lets me get rid of Corvold. They're also, because of Bonecrusher Giant, very much in danger of just accidentally dying. They have another Murderous Rider in hand, but that puts them to 6. They've got to be really careful here. Another Witch's Oven. Okay, slightly annoying. They're going to swing with Corvold. Okay. So the really good news here is that Fey of Wishes getting Fling is going to deal them an enormous chunk of damage, which hopefully lets me just kill them. We're going to need to do a bunch of fancy stuff to stay alive through that, because I have 9 damage off that play. Plus 6 damage off the Bonecrusher Giant, so right now they are at a virtual -7. Mayhem Devil comes down. Don't care much about that one. What else are you doing this turn, opponent? Yep, so Agent Conundrum, you were correct. I punted hard here. Opponent's just playing out their whole hand, okay. So they are dead now, fortunately. Fortunately, very dead. Because of the power of Fling, right? So how much mana, just to count it again? We've got 9, 11. Okay, so I can't get Fling and Beanstalk, but what I can do is fling this Lovestruck Beast at them, which is going to kill them. Go ahead, hit you a bunch of times. You. Hit you. Okay, so actually, yeah, this puts them at a place where they can't Murderous Rider because they die, so we do just win by flinging Lovestruck Beast. Excellent. At most, they can go to 5 by sacking this food token. That's not going to be enough. Yeah, so we'll just do this. Grab Fling. And we'll just grab some Ether Gusts, whatever. Game over here. Should not have way to gain enough life. Yeah, they can go up a little bit, but they're not going to live. Okay. Targeting you. Attack and Lovestruck Beast. Going to take a hit, but it's okay. You only have 3 mana, and that is not enough to sack 2 food tokens. Can't bring back the cat because I have a Spyglass on. Alright, that was a lot of different stuff happening, but we did win. Thank goodness. Good start from us, kind of weakish start from the opponent. But hopefully we can take one of the next 2. Jund Food, not a favorite matchup. But certainly doable. Alright, so sideboarding is always a challenge, especially now with this new list. Not sure what changes. Definitely interested in the second copy of Great Henge. Saw there, it's just a really strong, explosive card to have against them. The weakest card by a fair shake that we have in this matchup is Brazen Borrower. Just because Brazen Borrower is cool at dealing with Mayhem Devil if they don't have an oven. We're dealing with Corvold, but once they have an oven out, it's just very silly against most of their other cards. You rarely get the chance to just bounce foods for free. And Bonecrusher Giant at least can deal with Goose, which is important, can deal with Paradise Druid, which they seem to be playing, and can deal with Mayhem Devil if we have a Clover out. I think, so Incongruity is neat because it can deal with Corvold. But again, this is a matchup where we're likely to be cutting some number of creatures between Fae of Wishes and Brazen Borrower, so I'm not interested in it. I have noticed from sideboarding in Aethergust before that just having Aethergust is of course not enough deck because it doesn't really stop the Hat, Trail, Oven combo in any kind of permanent way. We need to make sure we have a density of Fae of Wishes for that so that we can actually fetch our answers. I don't want to go low on Fae of Wishes. Still want to go ahead and cut a few of these. Don't think I need to keep an Aethergust in the side here. I think that card's strong enough that I just like having it in the main. Because Corvold is just the way we lose many of these games, maybe most. Cut a Borrower. Actually, did I cut a Fae? I like Escape a lot. I'm going to go ahead and cut one Fae, one more Borrower for the last Aethergust. Not at all sure about this being the right play. It's possible it's some Edgewell Incubation against the Mayhem Devil deck. Definitely experimenting. Would definitely appreciate suggestions if Pat has any suggestions. Okay, Mulgs, I have double Clover. Yeah, keep this. So Brazen Borrower and Lovestruck Beast are not the best cards against this deck, but any hand with 2 Lucky Clovers and like lands that you can use is one you should be hard pressed to throw back, I would say, just because Lucky Clover powers up this deck so much. Very hard to throw back that kind of thing. Paradise Druid, sure, we have a bunch of ways to deal with that one. Fabled Passage is neat. It's not gonna immediately play dividends. I like Lucky Clover here. Problem is, of course, if they have Vraska and Kill Clover, things get a little bit awkward. But looks like they don't. The fact their hand is double Paradise Druid is amazing. I do not think Paradise Druid is really worth playing in this deck. It's just way too easy to turn off. Okay, our next turn is going to be really good, unless they have something really spectacular. I guess Casualties of War is technically something they could pull off, so we'll see if they do or not. But assuming they don't pull off Casualties of War, it's going to be a really good next turn. Crack this now, just grab a mountain. In theory, there's an argument for leaving that uncracked in case they do have Casualties of War, so they can't target the Fabled Passage. But them targeting Breeding Pool would be approximately as awkward. Really sure. We'll see. If this is Casualties, this is still going to be an interesting game. I mean, it might be an interesting game either way. Who knows? You could have a Corvold. Corvold would be strong. Ish. I'm talking too much and not thinking about the. Are they mousing over all my permanents? They're mousing over my permanents. That's Casualties of War. All right. So at least I get to bounce the Paradise Druid's worst case scenario, or I just draw this anyway. And yep, gonna go ahead and do this. Grab an island and a mountain and just kill both of the Paradise Druids right here, right now. No mana for you, opponent. I'm running a little bit low on mountain count, of course, so I want to be a bit careful about that, but this should slow you down a mite. And we're starting to get to the point where Edgewell Innkeeper is a fantastic draw as well. Mayhem Devil, don't care about that one too much. Witch's Oven, sure. Another Beanstalk Giants, cool. So we're just going to go Beanstalk into Beanstalk. Pitch up lots of tasty mana. Oh, opponent's just done. Okay. All right, that was Jund Food with some pretty weak openers, but I'll take it. Number 8 Mythic. I'm gonna try and work in at least one more match tonight, maybe 2. See how long we end up going. Yeah, if anybody wants to like introduce themselves, talk about their experiences with the deck, would love to hear about it. Also, if you're watching this and you want to play this deck yourself and you stream or you record your games, I just love watching people play games with Temur Clover. I just find it super fun to watch as well as play. Let me know about it, and I'd be happy to look at some videos or maybe hang out on the stream, depending on what the timing is. But would love to hear about that kind of thing. Definitely keeping this. It's just a good, solid Edgewell Innkeeper curve. Opponents are mulliganing a lot tonight. So that might be making the deck look better than it is. You've all been warned. Yep, definitely a hand where I'm just happy to drop Innkeeper. Then just drop Fae and just try to get a good aggro start before the opponent gets off the ground. Opponent is a Knight of the Ebon Legion deck. Okay, well, that at least makes the choice to cast Fae seem more obvious. Because I would like to block that Knight. Not get drill bitted, that would be nice. I can draw cards off these Lovestruck Beasts, we're in great shape. If they spend their next turn using Bone Crusher to kill the Innkeeper, it's a little sad, but I can live, it's fine. Okay, they didn't mouse over the Innkeeper in that suggestive way these decks often do. So, problem, of course, is that this is a turn 3 Embercleave hand the opponent is demonstrating. So that's interesting. But I don't mind. Yeah, if they do want to turn 3 Embercleave, they're going to have to do a bad attack in order to get that set up. And our Brazen Borrower gets to punish that maybe next turn. Happy just with the no attacks here. Okay, not an Embercleave, just a Stormfist Crusader. That one's fine. It seems like they are trying to draw some lands. My best guess at what's going on here. Yeah, definitely happy to start attacking at this point because Lovestruck Beast attacking safely is great, and this Fae of Wish is an amazing blocker against what they've got. Go ahead and attack. Not jumping yet, sure. Now there's the question of, do I just go Lovestruck Beast, make a token, play the other Lovestruck Beast? Because even if they do try an Embercleave attack, that's leaving them super wide open, just getting attacked back for lethal, and I'm still at 20. Wow, that sounded great when I said it. In fact, it said so great that I'm actually just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to get my missing color. Use another Lovestruck Beast here. If they do have something that can block this, like a Regisaur, I can just bounce it with Brazen Borrower. And they're taking damage off Stormfist Crusader in the meantime. That's a Lucky Clover, which means I get to bounce 2 permanents next turn. Okay. So, yeah, they just don't have enough mana to do anything that scary, given them 19 life. The Ebon Legion's fine. Still seem to maybe be missing land drops. Oh, Drill Bit me, okay. So Brazen Borrower, I assume, goes away. Lucky Clover goes away. I definitely like having a bounce spell available here. That sounds great. Second Lucky Clover is also cool. Do I like that more than I like just being able to cast Brazen Borrower after bouncing a thing? Oh, I can't do that because I have 1 blue at the moment. Alright, so maybe I should have played another island last turn. Anyway, that at least makes the decision pretty easy. Gonna play the Clover. And just go attacking. Opponent's nice. Yep, that's the Thoughtseize effect. Sorry about that. Goes for the single chump. Okay. Up to 6. And now at this point, do I want to go ahead and bounce some? I don't think I care, given that they're at 6, going to 5, and a Bone Crusher Giant's about to be lethal. I'm going to go ahead and just let you have this Crusader. They also can't really drill bit me because I get to borrow them in response, and they're dead. Okay. So, Black-Red is a good matchup. I swear it's a good matchup even when they draw like a normal number of lands. Sideboard strategy for this one's a little cleaner because Escape to the Wilds just isn't very good against this deck. So we get to make a pretty clean sideboard exchange where we just get rid of the stuff that isn't that good. Bring in some cards that are better, like Aether Gust. Fae of Wishes is a very good blocker here, so I don't mind keeping it around. Usually my strategy is to bring in the Aether Gust, leave a Return to Nature on the sideboard so I can get it with Fae of Wishes to kill Embercleave. Bring out... You'd typically be 1 copy of Beanstalk Giant. It's possible that Incubation and Incongruity is a fine one to bring out as well. This card actually seems pretty good in this matchup because there are a lot of creatures that are pretty strong to fetch with it. I could also bring in a 2nd copy of the Great Henge. Wholesome Ross is an option. Flame Sweep is an option. Flame Sweep being fetchable is nice. Given that Aether Gust is going to be a common turn 2 play, and Fae of Wishes probably isn't as common a turn 2 play, I'm okay. 1 Fae. And do I just bring in Flame Sweep? Able to actually fetch Flame Sweep is not that strong on the draw. I think I'd rather just have it as a potential surprise for the main deck. Try things like this. Brazen Borrower is also a little on the weak side, but it's extremely good against Regisaur specifically. Beanstalk Giant's also one I sometimes consider cutting. Actually, make it cut a Beanstalk, add back the Fae. Reduces the number of nut draws I have very slightly, but I think that's okay. Sideboarding pretty loose here. Crokies. Hey, good to see you on the stream, dude. Coming for you. I don't actually know where you are in the rankings right now. If you're in the top 7, I guess I'm coming for you. If not, I'll see you at the top maybe before the end of the season. This hand's fine. Bone Crusher Giant and like one more piece of interaction is all totally acceptable. Some danger that we get turn 2 drill bitted, but this is not a hand that's bad enough to be worth throwing back. Opponent mold again. And Fervent Champion, okay. Fine. This means they are not guaranteed to have a drill bit. Edgewell Innkeeper is awesome. It's a distraction. Happy to throw it out because I really want to keep this Bone Crusher Giant around. If they do drill bit me now, I just get to play 1/4 and draw a card, which is cool. Nope, they didn't do anything. All right, so Blacklands Paragon's a possibility, but if I like Bone Crusher or hold up Bone Crusher, they're gonna play Paragon anyway. Hey Tenacious, what's up? You got a lot of decisions here. I could also just hold up Fae of Wishes and use it later, which is the worst idea. They didn't have removal for Innkeeper. This really feels like a Blacklands Paragon. If we assume they have a Blacklands Paragon, that... Alright, I'm gonna assume... Let's do this. I'm gonna play the Mountain. I'm gonna go ahead and... I'm gonna attack with Edgewall to maybe draw out the Paragon. They kill it. If they do play it, hit them. Sure, why don't you show me a Blacklands Paragon if you have one? Neat. Okay, they had one. It died. Yeah, so Bone Crusher Giant is not the best at killing Regisaurs, so it's fine to throw it at just random early creatures, I think. Also gives them a harder time actually having Embercleave. Hope they play a Regisaur this turn. Knight of the Ebon Legion, okay. This implies they don't have a Regisaur. Alright, lots of 1-drops. Sure. So Embercleave has become a concern at this point. But even if they have it, I feel like the move is just to drop Bone Crusher. Worst case, Embercleave, they still lose a creature trying to play it, and I can bounce it later. Definitely feels like an Embercleave attack, so assuming that it is an Embercleave attack, certainly blocking Fervent Champion. Okay, here it comes. They get to stick this, but it's going to get bounced a lot. Yeah, Knight does grow, but the opponent's on not a lot of resources, and unfortunately we're suffering from a real dearth of blue mana. That, I think, has been the biggest problem I've noticed with this variant of the deck, is just there's no blue mana in it. It's kind of an issue. Like, they can equip Embercleave to Knight, hit me for 6. Equip it to Gutterbones, hit me for 6. I feel like it's possible that the right answer is just to play a Fae so I have an actual blocker, draw a card off it. If I hit a blue source, it's amazing. If I hit a Bone Crusher, that's also pretty good. Huh. Definitely awkward. Yeah, I want to build up a little bit more of a board presence here. Okay, that's a blue source, which is excellent. Means I get this out, do take a hit. That's okay. Still going to attack with Innkeeper. And then we have pretty much the board covered, actually. If they want to use this Embercleave, assume they will. Neat. Gets equipped to Knight. Let's see who's attacking. Just Knight, sure. So we're going to go ahead and gust this thing. Walk the Knight safely. Alright, so opponent had a reasonable start, but fortunately we had just enough early defense to live through the cleave part. After that part happens, the rest is not as... Alright, so feels like this is going to be a very, very clear Brazen Borrower cast Brazen Borrower turn. We know what the opponent's drawing, we know it's no threat, which is great. Hey iPhone Fan 5, good to see you on the stream. Merry Christmas. Alright, opponent is entering combat. I feel like this is going to be a Merry Christmas combat step for me as well. Okay, gonna do the same thing. Let's see if they expect different results. Ooh, they're just pumping this time. They're not trying to run out the Embercleave. So, go away. Edgewell Innkeeper, by the way, you should play this card in the deck. Many of you have maybe heard this from me before, but probably just not good to play Hydroid Krasis. I don't think Hydroid Krasis is just in this spot, just imagine how bad that card would have been. All I ask is just imagine how unutterably terrible that card would have been for us here. Gonna play Stomping Ground. We have Brazen Borrower to cover Embercleave, and I don't really care about anything else they're gonna do, so I'd rather save Fae of Wishes to have something to do later. They're getting a little flooded, which is cool. Don't mind that. Things going to happen to them. The cleave this time, cool. Bounce it again. Yeah, Brazen Borrower. I guess Brazen Borrower also being really important against it. Worth noting. Wow, they're putting it on Gutter Bones. Fascinating. All right, well, it doesn't actually make a difference, but it's an interesting play. Makes sense to get around Bone Crusher Giant, I guess. Sort of. Certain sense. We are flooding really hard, but I don't think it's going to matter. Flooding, yeah, that's a lot of lands, but does I don't think. Yep, no one gives up. Cool. Cool. All right, rank 5. Let's keep going. Feeling good. Feeling good about Temur Clover. Fabled Passage, don't know about it yet, but it is nice not taking like 4 to 6 damage by default in openers against these aggro decks, these Gruel black-red style decks. Up against a pretty high ranked opponent, so we win this one. Might get to top 3-ish. Yeah, I think we keep this. A little risky, of course, and the fact that Fabled Passage is like thinning our deck of lands is more than a little awkward, but Lucky Clover and Brazen Borrower stalls our opponent pretty well, and if we draw a third land, the hand just goes off explosively thanks to Fae of Wishes, giving us the do with all the mana. So lands are good, spells are acceptable. Let's do it. Let's practice for an island right now. Feels like almost everyone on Arena, at least in kind of like the Mythic games, now has cool sleeves, which I really approve of. Sleeve cosmetics are pretty excellent. I do think the Lightning Bolt sleeves look a little better than the Cryptic Command sleeves, but you're running 2-for-1 tribal, which is what I'm doing right now. All right, Gilded Goose. So probably a food deck. That's all right. Important to remember the Brazen Borrower can bounce food against these decks. Okay. And it looks like will Brazen Borrower bounce food against this deck? Probably. We're going to Beanstalk. We're going to make sure we grab a blue source. We can use Borrower, and we'll probably grab another as well. Then having Escape open for next turn is an option, although it's pretty likely we're just going to do Beanstalk into Fae next turn. Escape the turn after once we have more mana to play around with. So best guess here is they're going to do a Goose at the end of the turn, and then we're going to spend our time bouncing their trail and their food just to kind of reset their turn. Run them out of spare mana, so they just have to kind of trail again. And notably, I have cut Expansion Explosion from this version of the deck. So without expansion to do double up flings, we do have to work a little harder to actually kill this deck. Worth noting. Petty Theft just can trail food while they can't sacrifice it anymore. So obviously we couldn't have gotten both of the foods because they would have sacrificed whichever one the borrower was starting with the Goose. Might as well give them less information to make a decision with. For example, maybe they got a Corvold when they might have gotten a land otherwise. That they got Corvold probably means they have a bunch of land stuff, but let's see what actually goes. Okay, trail again is fine. And another Goose. Cat, oven? Gonna be oven, sure. Okay. Opponent angling to maybe be able to cast a Corvold next turn, so it'd be good if we could find something to deal with that. Start here. Turtle Footsteps. So what I can actually do here is I can grab Island if I want to have Math Manipulation be a possibility that's open. I don't know if that's what I want. I can just grab Ether Gust if I want to be sure of dealing with Corvold. But being able to, let's see, I'm going to have 8 mana. If I can go for like Return to Nature, kill the oven, and then steal the Corvold, which is kind of neat. I'm kind of into that play being an option that I have. It does mean I'm not grabbing Spyglass, which could be punishing, and Mass Manipulation generally is not great against this deck. So it could be this is a terrible idea. Question is just, do I get Gust or do I get Mass? Grab these islands either way. And double Fey. Oh, Cardboard Live is working. That's excellent. Glad I got that extension to function. Okay, so Return to Nature is a gimme. We want to be killing this trail. And the question is, what else do we get? So their next turn is likely to be land Corvold. Sacking the food to make Corvold happen, sacking the goose to Corvold. Yes, if they're doing that, then Aether Gust is going to be devastating enough anyway, probably. Yeah, I'm just going to play it safe and grab Aether Gust. This feels like slightly more flexible against a variety of things they can do. Does mean that they're now under pressure not to sack this food if they want to get Corvold down before I can just Aether Gust it and get the enters the battlefield trigger off of it. Griblek. So Incongruity is not in my sideboard at the moment. There are a couple copies in the main deck that I can hit. It's a fine removal spell against it. It's a little worse than Aether Gust because it's more expensive, but I guess getting rid of it permanently is nice. So yeah, it's not a bad one to have access to. But it's not good enough to put in the sideboard against Corvold. I'd rather just have, I think, 2-mana removal against it. And just 2-mana removal against all the variety of other things that come up against me. Like I want a spell that can deal with Corvold and Kenrith and a bunch of other stuff, and that doesn't cost 3 mana. Important part. But it's not a bad option. It's like a reasonable idea. All right, Familiar into some more ovens. All right, this is going to get interesting. We have plenty of mana. We have plenty of options. We have Escape to the Wilds. Opponent's got double Oven, Cat, Trail. So very strong start for them. And that would be an option to like go ahead and grab Spyglass, because in theory, if they did play Corvold that turn, we did have the option to play Escape to the Wilds, which, given that we have some Brazen Borrowers left in the deck, is not unlikely to help us find an answer. The question is, do I kill the Trail or do I kill some Ovens? Turning off their source of card advantage seems pretty good. I think I want to cast Escape first to see what that reveals to me about what the play. Yeah, so I will note that this is definitely a matchup that still feels sketchy, iPhone fan. I would not necessarily trust my logic in a lot of this. Second Clover is interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by Return to Naturing this Trail of Crumbs. I think my life total at the moment is not as big a concern as just making sure that they're not drawing a million cards. I mean, they are going to draw a million cards. Can't stop that from happening. But we Return to Nature the Trail, then we have Aether Gust up for Corvold. We have random tokens that can just block their cat. And then next turn we get to Lucky Clover, Triple Fey of Wishes, cast Sorceress Spyglass to turn off cats, and still have Aether Gust up for Corvold plus other assorted nonsense. Hopefully that's going to be enough. Hopefully. One gets to do all sorts of things here. Blah, 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 blah. I'm to see if we're losing viewers while all these triggers resolve, but I guess at this point y'all have some solidarity with me because you've all had to deal with this as well. Engine is something. Can't believe it took so long for people to decide that this was the thing to do. But 15's a fine life total. I mean, we're taking 2 more to turn off the cat, but we can block it. Stop a Mayhem Devil, we can stop a Corvold. We can turn off the cat engine. Hopefully that's all going to turn out to be Viewers go. Hello, we have a new subscriber. Or a new follower. Thanks very much to Desatel for the follow. Great to have you here. Put this down. We definitely can't play Clover this turn because we can't let Corvold resolve with a Familiar and 2 Ovens in play. That's not an option. We just click next. We end the turn. But obviously can get some value by like just not playing Corvold this turn. But even if they have a Trail of Crumbs, we'll gladly Aether Gust that because this Fey of Wishes is going to give us access to more Aether Gusts. Cool. And at some point, given that we have all these Beanstalk Giants, it's going to become wise to just grab Ember Cleave. That's the new thing I'm hoping is like a reasonable finisher against this deck. No Mayhem Doubles for you. You can't do that. That's not allowed. Goodbye. And I sometimes will name familiar with Spyglass, but this time definitely going to be naming Witch's Oven because they have two of them. Very annoying to try and do things like Brazen Borrower and Bone Crusher Giant when there are ovens in play. Things to do what? Is this another trail? This is another trail. Things are going to get iffy. Maybe. We'll see. iPhone fan, good luck getting to Platinum, by the way. And Luxiness, I am sorry. I know it's very tempting to play greedy with this deck. It's a fun deck to try and play greedy with. I do not blame you in the slightest for that. Okay, this is interesting. We're using Goose to get another Devil out, maybe? This is Goose, get another Devil out. Okay. That's kind of fine. I guess they can sack the Goose now to the oven and get some triggers. But, is what it is. Land is an excellent draw. I like the fact that I can just use that this turn. Go ahead and play that out. Play the other Clover. Then the vaunted triple Fae of Wishes play gets to happen, which is cool. Triple Fae of Wishes. Turning off these ovens now, don't mind me. I have an Ether Gust up for any kind of removal you might have for me. Spyglass, really glad I had this back to the board, by the way. This is just another copy of Return to Nature because I kind of got fed up with it, but I was overreacting to how often they seem to have Casualties of War. It's actually just a great card. And there's the question of what's the last thing we get. So options include the Great Henge. I think Embercleave, it's a little premature for that one. Yeah, I feel like we could also just get the last Ether Gust, but I kind of want one thing that's going to drive card advantage. Escape to the Wild is an option. I like Great Henge quite a bit here, so we'll do that. Out, Source Spyglass, turning off ovens. They're going to maybe sack a Goose in response, but I wouldn't mind too much. As long as they can't stop Spyglass, I'm not so scared of Corvold anymore. They sacked the Devil. They really went and sacked the Devil. That's interesting. Okay. All right, they've got Cat, Rider, Corvold, Overgrown Tomb. Oven here. All right, this feels pretty good. Glad that we're in a pretty safe spot, and now we get to make some tokens. And what the heck, I'll even attack with this 1/1 because I don't super mind the cat coming back. Happy to keep their food supply nice and low as long as they have this. Possible to giving them free death triggers is loose, but I don't really care. I just kind of like the idea of them having less stuff to do. Tenacious, I do not know why they sacked the Mayhem Devil. They might have expected that I was going to get a removal spell for it, but then they should have waited until I actually got the removal spell and targeted it, so I'm really clueless. I'm bereft of clues. I do not know. Another Mayhem Devil. All right, well, that's definitely passes muster as being very annoying, but I think without them having access to that's going to shred my tokens. But without them having access to a Trail of Crumbs or have access to their Witches' Ovens, do I care about this? I think I care enough about this. Corvold is not actually that worrisome given the sheer number of cards I'm about to draw, so let's just get rid of this. Let's just say, don't do things that complicate the board. Give me a turn to get this Great Henge into play, and I'm going to crush you. My plan. Okay. So, Great Henge also going to buffer our life total nicely, which is nice. Is that 3 Mayhem Devils they've now gone through? Just 2. Fabled Passage, sure, whatever. We'll start with that one and thin the deck a bit before we start drawing a bunch of cards. Or choice in terms of what I'm playing out here. Not any real risk we're going to run out of basics, I think. If we play this, this might also force them to try and use Murderous Rider, which would be cool. Wouldn't mind that. And probably focus on getting flyers out at the beginning here. At least they're not going to be able to draw artifact removal. It is a thing to note that if they can ever turn off Spyglass, we're going to die in a real hurry. So I'd really like to make sure they don't have an easy way to turn off Spyglass. I should have left up more blue there, because I do want to be playing Brazen, yeah. So you note that I'm like being pretty lazy with colors. I'm like used to playing the version of this deck that does not have the Fabled Passages in it. And the version of the deck that does not have the Fabled Passage in it usually has a lot more blue in play by this point, so would have preferred to be playing Brazen Borrower rather than Lovestruck Beast this turn just because they have cats to block, but I think we're probably still going to end up being okay here. So we'll go ahead, throw down this one. If I draw Bone Crusher Giant, there's some chance I'd want to kill the Goose here. Didn't find Fae of Wishes, so the fact that I can get back Fae of Wishes, then Triple Wish again, is going to start to make something like Mass Manipulation a real possibility, which is neat. I think we're out of the woods at this point. Corvold's still dangerous. I don't want to underestimate Corvold, but our opponent's under just enough life total pressure and is, at this point, they're dead enough to fling a Beanstalk Giant that I don't think they're going to be able to kill me in the one turn they have left to actually live. So if they want to, they can use Goose to make a food and bring back a cat to block, which is going to give Corvold an extra boost. Oh, never mind. I think they're dead now. Yeah, they're dead. Cool. I like the part where they died. So now they're not going to be able to have more than 2 blockers, I don't think. Probably should kill them. Let's see. If I just go for bounce Corvold, bounce Goose now, what even happens? They get to make a food, bring back the cat, take 6, go to 12, go to 6, block Lovestruck Beast. If I attack now, they get to block the Fae of Wishes with Corvold, and then I end up making this anyway? They might make a bad block somewhere. Let's cast Lovestruck Beast and see if... Let's actually cast Fae of Wishes first and see if that simplifies things, I think. If I could draw a Bone Crusher Giant, that would clarify things a lot right now, for example. Or another Fae of Wishes sort of thing. Nope. Okay. This down, just drop Lovestruck Beast to play. Passage to thin, whatever. Alright, so don't put too much thinking time into this. I feel like all roads basically lead to Rome at this point. Let's go for the double bounce. Tie up their mana a whole lot. Yeah, I know whose go it is, buddy. I know whose go it is. Just get that out of here, please. I guess I don't actually have to target the Goose. Do I even want to target the Goose? Okay. Alright, well, if they're going to scoop to that, they could have saved me some time. Alright, well, that was cool. We got a really, really good draw. I managed to beat a pretty ordinary draw. I guess their draw was not terrible. But we had a very, very, very above par draw. A lot of Fae of Wishes stuff. Those kinds of draws make me wonder if it's better just to not sideboard and just hope we go crazy Fae of Wishes on them, but I don't think that's actually wise. I do want 2 copies of Aether Gust here. Great Henge is interesting. But one of these actually still feels like it's probably just correct to go up to the 3rd Gust. If I have time to fetch stuff, I could just be fetching Incongruity to take out Corvold or Return to Nature or Spyglass. I don't think we're gonna have time to do Aether Gusty things most of the time. Alright, pretty comfortable going with a similar setup where I'm getting rid of a Fae, getting rid of a Borrower, adding one more big spell, whether that's Henge or Escape, I'm not sure. Probably Escape over Henge. Nah, let's do Henge and see if we can overload their right, like... Yeah, this sideboard plan is real loose. I feel like I do it a slightly different way every time. Not really sure what the play is. So a little bit more on that philosophy, I guess. People are always asking me about sideboarding, and I wish that I had a better answer than I'm bad at it. But the basic idea is, if we are using Fae of Wishes and we know that we're up against Jund Food, the cards that I am by far the most likely to be fetching are Sorcerer's Spyglass and Return to Nature. Those are the cards I basically always want against them if they have anything like normal. Given that, of course, Ether Gust is sometimes nice against Corvold or Mayhem Devil, but I also have one removal spell which can deal with either of those. Given that, I think it's better just to have more main deck Ether Gust so the average card draw is a little stronger because cards like Brazen Borrower are pretty weak against them. There's another philosophy that is just, let's assume we're going to just get lots of mana. We should just keep the deck the same, try and get lots of mana, and then beat them by fetching lots of Ether Gust like we did that game. I just don't think that's reliable enough. I'm going to keep this, going to dump. Sadly, I think it's Ether Gust. Could dump a forest and hope we're going to draw a third land at some point. But I think I'd rather just make sure I can cast all the spells in my hand. Gilded Goose, okay, sure. That one, pretty easily. Draw another forest immediately, punished. So obviously should have bottomed a forest there. With perfect information. Never have. Love a Beanstalk Giant, would love an Escape to the Wilds, love them not to have a Mayhem Devil right now. Lovestruck Beast. Okay. I love seeing Lovestruck Beast there. Lovestruck Beast is not good against this deck, and really, you shouldn't be bringing it in from the sideboard if you have a deck like Jund Food. Goodness knows what they cut. Maybe they cut like Murderous Rider or some other card that's kind of unimpressive, but Lovestruck Beast just, like, we're not going to kill you most games by attacking on the ground. Most games are going to look like that one back there where, yes, technically we attacked them to death, but we didn't need to. Lots of other options. Lovestruck Beast is just a card that's clunking up their hand here, not doing a lot. Crashing Bronton can kill Clover, so whatever, sure. Gonna spend their food and their Bronton to kill this Clover? That's okay with me. Don't mind that, sure. I mean, it's annoying. I'd prefer they not have done that, but it's okay. Now we draw a mountain. The question is, do I kill the Goose or kill the 1/1 given that they have a Lovestruck? How bad is Lovestruck Beast for me in general? I still not really afraid of taking big chunks of damage off that. I think I'd rather just kill the Goose because it's extremely good with Trail. This person is very liberal with these Yorgos. Honest to goodness. So as long as we live long enough to cast Escape the Wilds, I feel pretty reasonable about where we're at. We also get to get another Bone Crusher and kill this 1/1, which turns off the Lovestruck Beast. Brazen Borrower turns off Lovestruck Beast. Like, Lovestruck Beast just is not a reliable attacker. Thus, Witch's Oven is not bad. Makes things like Brazen Borrower look worse, but it's okay. I don't have a cat yet. Ooh, another Innkeeper. I like that one. That one. Yeah, so I've talked a little bit before about Innkeeper versus Hydroid Krasis. So thinking about this version of the deck versus the version that Jean-Emmanuel Dupraz played at the last MC. And Innkeeper just enabling busted double Innkeeper draws like this that make your opponent go, nice, is like a super strong reason to play this card. It's very, very strong. Now, opponent could still just go Mountain Corvold and just threaten us with that option of a thing that could happen, but they're having a nice Jund Food mana struggly draw here. Gilded Goose doesn't do a lot. Castle Lochthwain does a lot. Don't love Castle Lochthwain, but pretty okay taking one hit off the beast at this point. And there's some question whether I should double block it here. Let's see. So we're going to play Escape to the Wilds. There's a pretty good chance we just hit a Lovestruck Beast and can just jump this thing for a turn, so I'd rather keep Bone Crusher around for now. Possible this is loose and I should be trying to keep my life total high because getting burned out by cats is a real concern. But I think this Bone Crusher could come in handy later. So now we escape. We hopefully get something besides red and green mana sources. It's actually kind of good that we bottomed that Ether Gust because we were obviously never drawing anything that would let us cast it. All right, cool. We hit Lovestruck Beast just as planned. We hit an island that we don't need to play yet. I'm going to go ahead and just do this. And then things are looking pretty all right, I would say. I'm pretty happy to double lock the Lovestruck Beast with Token Bone Crusher now. If they have Mayhem Devil from here, things get rough. New follower! Hey, Dantes. Good to see you following. Thanks for watching the stream. Tenacious, yeah, I don't know about the Fires matchup much, but Simic Ramp is definitely doing the kinds of things that can ignore what Jund is doing. Finale of Devastation in particular. Just really good tech against them. That's Vraska. Okay, what's Vraska doing? Don't mind her too much. mean, she's strong with random food to sack and stuff. She's like a good card. But compared to like a Corvold, don't mind seeing just a Vraska that turn. Okay. Okay, they're going to ping so they can make food with the goose. That makes sense. But now I get to start having a little party. And the party's going to look like Ask the Great Henge. Don't need red mana right now, so this tapping seems fine. Use the Great Henge. Schedule Innkeeper. Draw Beanstalk Giant is interesting. Do I want to use this to get another forest and then make Lovestruck Beast off of that? Or do I just hold up Brazen Borrower this turn? Interesting. If they could get a Corvold, I love holding up Brazen Borrower for specifically that reason. And I don't think we need Beanstalk Giant too much right now. I could also just cast Lovestruck Beast and draw 2 cards and like forget about the token. That's actually much better. Let's just draw some more cards. I think Corvold's not going to kill us immediately because I'm not seeing cats and stuff happening over there. Relying on them not to pull together all the pieces of their puzzle, but I think as soon as I can find another Lucky Clover, this game's going to end, and I might as well just play the cards that are getting me closer to finding another Lucky Clover or a Fae of Wishes. I can probably figure out something good to do with Fae of Wishes at this point. So the Lovestruck Beast is no longer a concern. We turn that one off. The thing that's a big concern now is just getting eaten alive by Corvold or the opponent assembling a cat and a trail of crumbs to go with the oven here. Getting an engine going. Fae of Wishes at least lets me find source for Spyglass or Return to Nature, but those are not always reliable. They could also just Bronto and kill the Henge, which would be fine. Mayhem Devil, okay, not too scary without a cat. You have a cat. Okay, they have a cat. Now things get interesting. So we're about to take a lot of damage. We're using the oven now, which means that Borrower is at least turned on. Cool. I assume they're just going to put all the resources into killing the Innkeeper. Would love that. I don't mind just gaining some virtual life here. Part of me wants to Yorgo them, but that would be rude. Why would I do that? I don't want to do that. It's not like they have less time on the clock than I do. Ah, Castle Lockthwain. Alright, that's a cool play. Still losing my board, but that's okay. I have a lot of cards in hand. I have a Great Henge. Not too worried right now. That's a Lucky Clover, which is the ideal draw for the situation. Let's just, I feel like there's a way for me to get rid of their whole board here somehow. I feel like that's a thing I might be able to do. So Clover, and then what do I have? Let's think about this for a second and let our opponent Yorgo us if they want to. I would like to, this turn, I would like to kill this Vraska if possible. Would love to kill Mayhem Devil. I can double Borrower, bouncing a token and the Lovestruck Beast to slow our opponent down a lot seems nice. And then I can kill the Devil and kill Vraska. That's a good start. And I also... That's a good start. I think that's good enough. The Devil, then I'm not that worried about the Familiar Engine here. Let's do that. We're going to go ahead and... this. Beanstalk Giant to grab Island. Just want to get my island count high. Opponent has Yorgo right on schedule. Good of Anubis, you should definitely try the deck. It's really sick. iPhone Fan 5. I am testing lots of stuff. Win rates are not sacred. You got to test lots of different stuff in order to figure out what the best version of the deck is if you want to keep performing well with it. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and double Borrower. And the stuff I'm going to get rid of is this Lovestruck Beast, which is an annoying blocker, and the token that goes with it, which is also an annoying blocker. Thanks for tapping that oven, opponent. You are the real MVP. Goodbye, goodbye. Kill off the Mayhem Devil. And we now can't throw down Brazen Borrower anymore, but I think I just want to play Lovestruck Beast this turn. We only have one cat to be chumping anyway. Go ahead and attack Vraska, turn off the card draw. The opponents actually had pretty reasonable draws this game, but we have had just draws that were unreasonably good. Great Henge certainly playing a key role here, as you probably noticed. The Lovestruck Beast does make me slightly vulnerable to the opponent getting rid of my 1/1s, but the fact that I now have a Lovestruck Beast in hand is a big deal. Also, the fact that Fae of Wishes can get Pulsum Rasa to bring back Edgewell Innkeeper makes it easier to attack with Lovestruck Beast for sure. And second Cauldron Familiar doesn't bother me. Great Henge keeping me at a really healthy life total. Trail of Crumbs would be a little annoying if they found one, but I think at this point it's all over with the shouting because Fae of Wishes can get Embercleave. We get to finally see an Embercleave happen, probably. Okay, so they're doing this. That is all. That is all the resources. All right. I think they're dead to the cleave. And definitely dead to this Bone Crusher in addition to the cleave. So, I don't know about Embercleave in the sideboard. It's often, like, really excessive. Like, in positions like this, do I really need it? But it's definitely a good, like, get the heck out of here. We don't want you around anymore. And, Struggle Fling too. This. And, yeah, just go ahead and smork. Yeah, and I'll talk to you all about changes to the deck right after this match, which looks like it's about to finish, because we have been drawing like hot fire tonight. Like, the deck is good, but these draws have been unreal. Opponent now is probably going to rope me. Let me just give him a nice your go. Go ahead, opponent. What's the matter? Anyway, definitely a frustrating match from their perspective, I'm sure. We did get the nuts in games 1 and 2, but I'll take 2 wins against Jun Food on one night. Pretty happy with that. And now, as we wait for this opponent to rope out or whatever, let me talk to you about some changes to the deck. So, yeah, Retro Rocket, I think that I found that Embercleave, Fling, Expansion, Explosion, you kind of want maybe 2 copies of that effect somewhere, but that's like enough, usually. And talking to Goat of Anubis and iPhone Fan 5, so the current Stream Deck, so let me link to the current version of the deck here for a hot second. Make sure y'all have what's basically, I think this is the most updated version. And the biggest changes here are I'm trying, so somebody played in a Grand Prix last weekend and managed to get top 4 with Temur Adventures, which made me happy. I talked to them, it sounded like they've been just brewing independently for 6 weeks, like before I even posted anything about the deck, but hey, that's magic. People arrive at the same idea through different sources. And the fact they, of course, did so well in this tournament made me interested in trying their list. The big differences between what they were doing and what I was playing before. First, they were running Incubation and Incongruity, card that I had considered really early on and then kind of dumped because I just hate missing with that card so much that it didn't feel worth playing for those kind of feel bad moments. And also, this is a deck where like raw card quantity is great because you're getting what you want eventually by drawing a bunch of cards, but just tutoring the top 5 at random, it's not just like you want any creature, you want really specific creatures. And it would often feel bad, like, okay, I spent 1 mana, I didn't really get anything that made my turn any better. Like, what was the point? So that's probably like irrational, of course. Like, we are a creature deck, Incubation's great. The main problem is we just play 24 creatures, which makes the chance of missing with that card like kind of unacceptably high. But I'm still testing it. It's been okay in a few spots. I've never cast Incongruity so far, but I want to keep testing it to see what happens, how it feels. The biggest change, though, is the mana base, where I used to play a bunch of shock lands and some scry lands. The idea being that I just wanted my colors consistently as often as possible, ideally double of all my colors, so I could like make cool multi plays with stomping and then casting Bone Crusher Giant, or bouncing and then casting a Brazen Bar. I just want lots of colors. Problem was that this was really painful, and while the temples are pretty good on turn 1 a lot of the time, this is not a deck that often wants to play anything on turn 1, that I'm coming in and play tapped was occasionally pretty bad later in the game. So I wanted to say, alright, what if we just try a mana base like what the Grand Prix winner had, which is everything comes to play untapped except for Fabled Passage early. You're relying on Fabled Passage, and because Fabled Passage plus Beanstalk Giant can really stretch the number of basics you have, I was playing 10 or 11 basics in earlier versions. This one plays 14. What it seems like happens as a result of this is that we're maybe a little more inconsistent with colored sources early, and it can be harder to get to like a lot of one color, which can be awkward when we want to be doing like Brazen Borrower things. We need a lot of blue mana, or Mass Manipulation. We need a lot of blue mana, but you take a lot less damage from your mana. I think that's really good against Jund Food and Aggro, which are matchups that are not our favorites. So I actually think that's probably a pretty good change and one I'm likely to stick with. Don't know about these cards, want to keep testing them, but I'm not sure. And anyway, we're at number 4 now. Let's I think we'll hit one more match and then call it a night. It's getting kind of late over here on the East Coast. I'm staying for the holidays, but it's been really good hanging out with y'all, and let's see if we can hit like number 3 or something. Make it a perfect night. I think we're 5-0, something like that. Briblick, yeah, the guy who played the top 4 is playing 2 copies of Incubation and Incongruity in the main, just like I am doing right now. Yeah, good of Anubis. Yeah, seems like Red Black Aggro had high win rates at the Grand Prix. I'm seeing a ton of it on ladder. I don't mind. I think it's a pretty good matchup for us, actually. Can't keep a hand with Brazen Borrowers and nothing else. This hand is better. We'll keep this one. And just dump the Great Hint. This card is not doing anything for us early. There's a world where we don't want to dump the Great Henge, we'd rather dump Escape because Incubation can find us a Lovestruck Beast, which would be cool. But I just feel like it's pretty, like, I would rather not have to dig for Lovestruck Beast and Incubation and just be able to, like, many more hands lead to, I think, a sustainable Escape being. We got all the pain lands in the world right now. There's a question of, do I even cast Incubation right now? And I think I'm going to wait on it. I think I at least want to see what I'm playing against first. I feel like I'm not going to have a lot to do with mana in the early turns, and I might as well just not take the damage. See if that ends up getting me punished. Alright, so it's red-black aggro. Probably. Jund Food. One of these decks that is all I'm ever seeing now. Red-black aggro, okay. So, pretty happy just casting Incubation, digging for something like a Bone Crusher Giant right now would be great. Lovestruck B. Oh, no, it happened. Alright, well, I think this is officially the last match in which I play Incubation and Incongruity, because that's just happened twice today, and that is too many times. 24 creatures is not a high number of creatures. Oh, great, it's Mardonite. I think this matchup feels a little worse. I don't know if it actually is worse, but it definitely feels worse. And now I don't even want to play this Fabled Passage because I'm going to shuffle all these lands back into my deck. I hate it. All right, we'll bounce this. I think we're probably going to die on this one. That was not a great mulligan and not a good Incubation Incongruity at all. Retro Rocket, that's not a bad notion, right? Like, it's not bad to like be throwing away those cards, but if the Incubation Incongruity had been an actual spell, I also have a lot more to do here. All right, Fae of Wishes can find Flame Sweep. So you're saying there's a chance. That is what I'm saying. Okay, we're going to cast this, crack it, dig to a Flame Sweep, and probably just die to Knight of the Ebon Legion, but you know, at least there's a chance. All right, grab this. I put Flame Sweep back into my board when I noticed that every other deck was playing Embercleave. If they have Embercleave now, this Flame Sweep's not going to be enough, but at least we're giving ourselves a shot if their hand is full of more derpy knights. Okay, Inspiring Veteran is just a derpy knight. I don't think that card does enough. I mean, we're taking a lot of damage, to be sure. And the knight grows anyway. Are we dead, actually? We're just dead to Knight of the Ebon Legion next turn. We are, but fortunately we can cast Fae of Wishes, so we're not actually quite dead. Not quite dead has been called. I'm just going to board. Knight of the Ebon Legion. If I had a Bone Crusher Giant, that would be excellent, but we'll at least play this. See if I can struggle back in somehow. 8 life is a reasonable amount to play around with. Acclaimed Contender is, of course, a great card. Yeah, I've actually been really impressed with Mardonites every time I've seen it. Of course, I'm not playing one of the various decks that like Mardonites is very bad against, like I assume Jeskai Fires, but I'm also seeing like 0 Jeskai Fires on ladder. Okay, we whiffed on lands with that Escape the Wilds. That was not ideal. All right, so we might be facing our first match loss of the night here because things have been real bad with this draw, as you've seen. We're sort of getting paid back for all the luck we had earlier. Yeah, probably dead now. Although, if they let us live for a turn, if their best play is another Acclaim Contender and we maybe can figure something out, Fervent Champion into Acclaim Contender, on the other hand, is probably doomed for us. So we block Knight of the Ebon Legion, force them to pump it. Oh, they Embercleave, we're dead anyway. Okay, so no winning that game. No chance we ever win that game in a million years. We have died. Okay, let's try again, but with better cards. I do not think Mardonites is necessarily a good matchup. If that deck ever became popular, I'd be playing more Flame Sweeps in my board, let me tell you that right now. Ether Gust is great because it gets rid of Acclaim Contender, or not Acclaim Contender, gets rid of Inspiring Veteran, which is important, gets rid of Embercleave, which is also important. I don't think it's important enough to want to run Return to Nature, but I definitely want all the Ether Gusts I can get my hands on. Incubation Incongruity is dumb, and we're not playing it. Great Henge looks pretty great, I think. Escape the Wilds is very slow. Don't want very many of that card if I can help it. And there's a question about Flame Sweep versus in the sideboard versus the main deck. I just don't think we're gonna have time realistically to tutor for it in a game that we're not winning anyway. I just want this card in the main. And there's a question about, do I cut a Beanstalk Giant or do I cut an Escape the Wilds? I actually think Beanstalk Giant can be kind of slow and awkward in these games, and I wouldn't mind cutting one. It's also possible I should cut the last Escape the Wilds to play a Pulse of Marasa or something like that. I think I want Chandra as a wish target. But let's try it like that. I think the broken starts are still important. Let's try this. Yeah, and Zergerger, however you pronounce that name. Make sure you're not giving me information that I wouldn't already have against my opponents. I definitely don't want to be sniping people here, even accidentally. Goodness gracious. All right, well, bringing the second Great Henge was obviously a great decision that we're getting rewarded for. Mana base definitely feels sketchier at times like this, where I just like notice how few blue sources we're playing compared to my old list. I think I have to mull this. I think just double Great Henge is effectively a mulligan anyway. This hand's reasonable. This hand just plays a bunch of cantrips, which I am okay with. Let's keep it. This hand can at least go to places. And I'm just going to go ahead and dump the Breeding Pool, I think. Rather have not be taking 2 damage, I think, than having extra blue source. Okay, opponent mulls. I'll take it. Dump this Breeding Pool. Opponent mulls again. Okay. I remember playing the Martyr Knights deck way back in the Oko days. One thing I noticed was that the mana sure did suck sometimes. Both the kind of color requirements and the sheer number of... That is a Leyline of Sanctity? What in the world? Huh? What? What? Guess this card stops specifically fling? I'm confused and happy. Confused and happy, chat. I don't understand what that's doing there, but I love seeing it. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. I'm so happy. All right, great. Well, this is looking promising. No promises, of course, because Inspiring Veteran is still quite a magic card, but it's looking promising. And here I'm just going to hold up Brazen Borrower and Ether Gust. I'm not going to bother doing Fave Wishes things yet. Just going to... That should have been Breeding Pool because I don't remember how Fabled Passage works sometimes and I'm a dummy. That definitely should have been a Breeding Pool that I played that turn. Pay no attention to what I'm doing because I am a dummy. Again, repeat, I am a dummy. They could just have a claim contender. They do indeed have a claim contender. Sure. Can't stop them from having knights in the battlefield, so it just has to resolve. Okay. Hoping there's a small chance they'll do something silly like attack with Veteran and Knight because they're happy trading off for Edgewell Innkeeper or something, but I doubt that's going to be what happens. Wow. All right. I am into it. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and bounce this Veteran with, I think, Ether Gust over Borrower. Or is it Borrower over Gust? Let's make it Borrower over Gust. Actually, this goes away. I just get to block Venerable Knight for free, which is awesome. And they get a counter on the Acclaim contender. Slightly annoying because now it's a 4/4, but still not unhappy to get rid of to reduce the number of bodies they have in their Ember deck. Let's crack this for. I'd rather not draw a mountain next turn. Another Brazen Bar would be excellent right now. Edgewell Innkeeper, not bad either. So now what do I do? Pretty down to just be in. Do I use Fae of Wishes? Do I keep that in hand? I'm going to play this out and Breeding Pool and just play a Borrower here. I think we should just be able to draw enough cards off these Innkeepers that I should be able to keep up with what they're doing. They can't Fervent Champion, they can Worthy Knight. Okay, that's not one that I can easily get rid of. But the tokens are not that annoying against double Fae of Wishes. I think this is still fine. But I'm not going to be chumping with Fae of Wishes. I'm going to let this Acclaim get in. But let's, I guess, draw some cards before we make decisions. What we got here? Borrower. Okay, Borrower is not uninteresting. Still not blocking here. They don't have Embercleave mana. What am I going to do? So Fae and Deshandra could wipe the board of everything except leave them Acclaim, which is a little sad. I don't love that. Although I guess if I borrow the contender end of turn and then sweep the board, that could be interesting. Huh. I don't have mana to use Borrower's Bounce and do Fae of Wishes. Whenever you cast a night. Yeah, it's whenever you cast a night. Okay. Part of me is almost tempted just to cast Fey of Wishes and just draw some more cards off these Innkeepers while I can. They're good blockers, and I am just going to completely... Yeah, let's just do this. Whatever. Drawing 2 cards per creature should let me completely outgun my opponent who's not drawing extra cards. Drawing infinite breeding pools is not ideal, but we're eventually going to get through to some real spells. Meanwhile, we get to start beating down with Borrower. Cool. Champion coming down, sure. Yeah. Zergar, that's actually a good call. Maybe they thought I was playing Reclamation, although I think I had Edgewell Innkeeper last game, didn't I? I don't really remember. Who's coming in? Who wants to play? Worthy Knight wants to play. Wow. Super into all of this. Please, yeah, yes, please. Give all of the yeah, just this one out of here. Alright, opponent's making some awful sketchy attacks here. I am here for it. These are awfully sketchy attacks. Unless they have, I don't know, an indestructible spell, but pretty glad just because they might just be thinking that because I have all the innkeepers in play, they should just be making big attacks if possible, and that might not be wrong. Definitely see that being the correct thing. But let's just keep let's play Brazen Borrower, I guess. Away from there. Man, feels like I'm flooding more with 26 lands than I was with 27 back in the old deck, especially considering how many Fabled Passages. Definitely a kind of situation where I miss having the temple. Inspiring Veteran again, sure, whatever. Bouncing that one until the cows come home. They're just going for the attack again. Okay, they still don't have Embercleave mana. Do this again. Bounce this. And this time, I'm going to think jumping the contender because I'm at 8. Yeah. Block you, block 1. Alright, they give up. So, Leyline of Sanctity. Probably when they're going to board out, but if they don't, works for me. Question is, yeah, this deck is just fast enough that if it gets going, there's just not a lot we can do about it. So I'm in a position where I don't know. This is like on the draw against decks like this is the kind of desperate situation where I almost start to consider just bringing in Kenrith's transformation. Because why not? Maybe I can put it on a low strike beast token, and the token can block their 2/2s. But in reality, the way to beat this kind of deck is just to have a pretty reasonable draw, get a Lucky Clover, get a Bone Crusher, get a Borrower, and just kind of 1-for-1, 2-for-1 them out of the game. That in mind, the 4th Beanstalk. I still don't think I want the 4th Beanstalk. I still think Great Henge is pretty decent. I think I want to play Chandra over Escape to the Wilds. I think their deck does not go big enough that this is like the wrong thing to do. Having Chandra not be fetchable is kind of rough. Maybe I should have Flamesweep Mesh be fetchable and place Chandra in them. Well, iPhone Fan 5, this will eventually go up on YouTube, and you can watch the VOD afterwards. My line is just basically keep bouncing their lords after they enter combat with all their creatures for some reason. Not too tough. Just remember you can kill stuff during combat to confuse their math. Definitely want the henges, definitely want the beasts. Feel like I want Flame Sweep. They wishes in the last card I put in. Is it Escape? Is it Chandra? Is it Beam Giant? Let's just make it Chandra. Let's just max out on the number of sweepers we have available and assume that if we get to the point where we're wishing with Fae of Wishes, that we'll be okay. Don't need the 1/4. May be wrong. Let's just keep a 7-card hand. That would be my other goal here. Keep a 7-card hand. Nope, not this one. Okay. Opponent mulled to 5 and then had a ley lines. They effectively mulled to 4 last game. Still were able to pressure us, so I don't think we're going to win this game. I think this matchup is genuinely bad. They kept a hand of 7. Alright, we do have a Bone Crusher Giant for the first. That's promising. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to dump, yes, it's probably Stomping Ground, because I'm going to go Fabled Passage, get a Mountain, Island, Bone Crusher, something. Yeah, I'll get rid of Stomping Ground. I want to keep Beanstalk around in case I draw Lucky Clover. think we need the 4th land at the moment. Knight of the Ebon Legion, sure. That at least means we're not going to play a Lord, which means I will actually build a Fabled Passage. See how quick they come out. If they play Worthy Knight, of course, I'll kill Worthy Knight. Sure, Worthy Knight's going to die. That's practice for a mountain now. They don't have choices to make. There is a world where if I just draw some more Bone Crusher Giants, I might just be able to grind them out. Okay. That is what they call in the business a start. That start. Goodbye, Worthy Knight. Here, shoot. Likes you. Gonna play another small knight I can kill? Wouldn't mind that. Okay, it's not a claim contender. Maybe it is a claim contender. Just another Knight of the Ebon Legion, sure. I'll keep killing them. Ooh, or do I play Lucky Clover? Problem now is if they make both of these 2/3s, or if they have like a disenchant effect, I still think the thing I should do here is play Lucky Clover, though. It's just so good with Beanstalk Giant that I would feel irresponsible not doing that. And even if they hit me with knights, I still am at a pretty healthy life total after all said and done. Alright, that's what they're doing then, sure. Take my medicine. Big knights, I get to go ahead and Beanstalk Giant, getting Island Mountain here. And just waiting, seeing if they're going to put some mana into pumping. I think that's the play at least. I could also just kill a knight now. There's always a chance they have Embercleave though, and if they have Embercleave, I would really like to be specifically killing the knight that they're trying to put an Embercleave on, so I'm going to pass the turn here. The kind of hand we needed to have a chance, but the question is, how is our opponent up to here? They're attacking, sure. They're going to hit me down to 9, that's fine. Handle that. Knights are going to grow, but I can handle that. That's a worthy knight. Okay. Resolves. What else? Pass the turn. All right. They pump these. So the question is, do I kill the knights or do I kill the worthy knight? I feel like they didn't have any other knights. They might just be really flooded. Oh, they can actually save the knights. So never mind. I need to hit worthy knight for sure. That's actually the obvious play. So things are still tough, but now I'm in a position where if I draw a Brazen Borrower, I can just win the game with it. Straight up win the game with Brazen Borrower. And I can also block the knights reasonably well with Fae of Wishes and force them to actually spend mana pumping, which is not the worst thing. Okay, and Beanstalk Giant's actually capable of taking on a knight of creature to creature, as it were. They might have Embercleave and no red mana to play it, but I think I have to assume they're going to continue not to have red mana, or else I'm just going to die. So we're going to go Breeding Pool tapped, Bone Crusher Giant, cast Fae of Wishes. Both of these can block a Knight of the Ebon Legion. And there are draws like Brazen Borrower that could still pull this out for us. We're now out of the Chandra Flame Sweep for the game, though. Okay, that's not going to cast. I'm afraid of. They do get to double pump the knights, but now that all the knights are lethal, I have no choice but to just block. They probably are just going to double pump. Yep. Lovestruck Beast would be absurd, of course, giving me a full turn of... That'll do too. That one will also do the trick. Okay, so gonna just go ahead and Fae of Wishes. Or some stuff. Let's find some stuff. What do I want? I'd love to fetch Lovestruck Beast if I could, but I can't. I could fetch Incubation, which is cute, but I don't... Right? Mass Manipulation... I do have 4 blue. I could just start stealing knights. I could get Sorcerer's Spyglass to turn off the pump. Actually an interesting option. Huh. I'm kind of down to get Sorcerer's Spyglass, which is not a sentence I necessarily thought I was ever going to say here, but kind of down to get Sorcerer's Spyglass. Then I think it's just going to be... Maybe it's just Incubation, because Bone Crusher Giant and Lovestruck Beast are both crazy good here. I also just get Escape for card advantage. I could get Mass Manipulation, which is great if I draw more lands, but pretty bad if I don't. Escape. I am not sure about that play at all. Not sure about that play at all. Agent Conundrum Chandra is no longer on my sideboard, sadly. Go to Anubis. I've been playing this deck for a long time. You can look it up on my YouTube channel, which is just, you search Aaron Gertler YouTube, there's a pretty good chance you're going to find it. I'm going to let these things through and see if they want to try a pump. They do want to try a pump. Excellent. Okay. So, y'all can go away now. Go away. Go away, go away, go away. We do want you here today. If you want to recast them, I'm going to turn them off with Sorcerer Spyglass. Then I guess just play a Fae of Wishes and hold up Ether Gust for some stuff that you do, possibly, maybe. Opponent's flooding out a lot here, it looks like, which is good for me, of course. Don't mind the part where they're flooding out a lot. Edgewall Innkeeper. Looking pretty good here, too. Opponent still doesn't have Embercleave mana, but they might have Embercleave, but they can't pump the Knights anymore once I cast Sorcerer Spyglass, which is amazing. So, yeah, I think we want to play Spyglass this turn, which means I'm not escaping. I am just going to play Innkeeper. Oh, I should have played Spyglass first to see what was in their hand. That would have been smarter. All right, well, now we're going to try to remedy that mistake. It's 2 Embercleaves. Awesome, great. All right, cool. Classic Martyr Knight's draw, maybe. Those off, play this, draw a card. Land, maybe. Lovestruck Beast, also really good. I'm feeling good here, even if they have a mountain. Game is looking winnable. Ouch, but fine. No problem. Doesn't fundamentally change the game here. iPhone Fan 5, thanks for linking to the YouTube. It's really good of you to do that. Really good of you to do that. I appreciate it. All right, we have the Ether Gust open now, so I think we just go Clover, Lovestruck, hold up Brazen Borrower for the end of the turn and pass? Correct, probably? Gives us plenty of blockers. I also want to start attacking with Bone Crusher Giant here. One thing I'm very wary of is if they can kill Sorcerer Spyglass, I'm going to need to do a lot of blocking in a hurry. I don't know if they have ways to actually do that, but I will need to do a lot of blocking in a hurry. Actually, I'm pretty down to attack with Bone Crusher. Let's just kill them before anything weird happens. That's often the goal. Just kill them before anything weird happens. They finally found the red source. They're really excited about what's going to happen when they attack with other creatures. They're really excited about what's going to happen. But we know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen when they... And what's going to happen is combat math is going to happen. Not going to like it one bit. Not one bit. This is where I check frantically to make sure I named the right thing with Sorcerer Spyglass. I did. And somehow their draw was just bad and we're winning the game. Yay us. Brazen Borrower actually should put us in a point where we're actually completely secure against anything they can do. So I'm just going to play this draw card. Not even going to bother with Escape the Wilds. Turns out our draws were so good we didn't even need it. Hit for 6. They have Embercleave up, but I have Brazen Borrower, so I don't care about that. And I don't know what direct damage spells they could have, but let's just be safe. Be real safe. Kind of crazy Acclaimed Contender Chain could maybe do something, but this attack doesn't do anything unless they have Blacklance Paragon. If they have Blacklance Paragon, they're getting bounced. Embercleave still doesn't do anything. So you can have that one. And Blacklance Paragon. Cute. Very cute. Watch what happens. That actually would not have killed me, but would have been annoying. So let's just say no to those. Goodbye to you. Oh, we get a goodbye to the whole board because we have the other Clover in play. I forgot about that. We won! All right, that was lucky, but I'll take it. It's been a good night. We're still at number 4, but I think that's 6-0 with Temur Clover. Really sick stream. Best one I've ever had, definitely by viewer count and by record and everything else. So thank you all for hanging out tonight. Let me just bring up the deck. I like at the end of a streaming session to have a brief question-answer session where if people have questions about the deck or anything like that, you can ask. I can show you kind of the list I was playing tonight. Overall, pretty happy with the Fabled Passage mana base. I think as long as aggro is as crazy on the ladder as it is, I don't mind the slightly higher mulligan rate if I'm gaining 2 to 4 life a game. I don't like this card. This card has been just nothing but misery-inducing. Probably too biased against it. Still don't like it. I just want to play cards that do stuff in a guaranteed fashion. So I think if I were playing this deck again, I'd probably do something like cut these out, bring in the second copy of Great Henge that I've enjoyed playing somewhat. Cut this one from the board. What I add to the board, not sure. I guess given the sheer number of aggro decks we're seeing, I could go with another Flame Sweep maybe, or like a Lava Coil, something like that. And what's the last card? I could slot in another land. That's reasonable, I think, to do. Try a 4th Escape to the Wilds. I'm going to go with the Miser's Temple of Mystery. Get another blue source in, get a scry in. This is not necessarily right. This is just I like having 27 lands in the deck. Didn't like Incubation Incongruity much. Let's try it this way. Hey, thanks, Tamwam. Good to see you here. iPhone Fan 5. Yeah, sure. So mulliganing with this deck. Let me go up here. With this particular deck, I mean, my basic rule is I want several pieces of interaction or some way to get a bunch of advantage early. So if you're talking about hands that have at least 3 spells in them and at least 3 lands, you can keep pretty much anything as long as you can actually cast most of the spells. So yeah, as far as 2-landers go, I would keep anything that has the potential to be broken if I get the 3rd land, because this deck does play a pretty high land count. And of course, most of your spells can interact to some extent. So I would definitely keep like double land and something like Clover, Beanstalk, Bone Crusher, Innkeeper, Escape to the Wilds. Easy keep, because worst case scenario, even if you don't get the 3rd land, assuming you can cast the Bone Crusher, you're at least double Bone Crushering on your 3rd turn, which is not so bad against many. If you can't actually cast the Bone Crusher with your lands, that's a different matter. I would probably throw back the hand if it didn't have red mana, but it would still be close because a 3rd land makes it broken. And it would kind of depend on the matchup at that point. Helpful though if you, yeah. So Retro Rocket and the Rakdos Knights meta. I mean, this is sort of the deck. I mean, I'm familiar with the Rakdos Knights meta overrunning things right now, so I am definitely trying to prepare for that already. So there's not much I would do differently in the main deck. I think the Edgewall Innkeeper Lovestruck Beast version is necessary. You definitely don't want to be messing around with Hydroid, Krasis, and lots of growth spirals or anything like that. Getting to the board and playing to the board fast. You'll notice I added a second Flame Sweep to the sideboard. That's sort of a concession to Rakdos Knights. Not sure if I bring in both of them yet or bring in one and sideboard one. It might depend on play draw. I'll be experimenting with that, I guess, if I keep seeing the deck. I have the Ether Gust in there partly because they're great against Rakdos Knights. Really, the only thing that kills you out of Rakdos Knights is some kind of like crazy 1-drop Swarm Draw or like Regisaur Embercleave, realistic. Ether Gust is meant to deal with the Regisaur Embercleave plan. Regisaur by itself isn't scary because you usually have plenty of blockers for it. Like Lovestruck Beast plus a token just blocks and kills it, or you can have a Clover and a Lovestruck Beast tokens just block it forever. You can Brazen Borrow it after the ability goes off. They have to recast it. You have a lot of ways to deal with it. Embercleave makes it much scarier, which is why Ether Gust comes in that matchup. But between Brazen Borrow and Ether Gust, hopefully, and Fae of Wishes grabbing Return to Nature, hopefully you have enough ways to prepare for Embercleave. Great Henge is also sort of a concession to that, because the idea is that against decks that are not countering the Great Henge and don't have main deck ways to destroy it, Rakdos Knights is usually characterized by that. If you can just go turn 3 Lovestruck Beast, turn 4 Great Henge, that makes their life much, much harder. I could imagine if there is enough aggro in the meta, it being correct to do something like main deck Ether Gust, live against almost all decks, or maybe a Lava Coil or 2 in the main deck. Possible Incubation Incongruity is okay because it gives you more virtual copies of Bone Crusher and Borrower, but I just hate that card. In decks that fund this few creatures. Maybe not. Hey, Kanye. Kanye, you warm my heart, man. Thank you for being one of the people who helped like get me back into the game. Also, Kanye, you can come back to the ladder now. That stupid Black Red Embercleave deck you helped make famous last season is all anyone seems to play now. Yeah, Retro Rocket. I honestly, yeah. If you wanted to like look at the list I'm playing now and replace like a Great Henge and a Fae of Wishes with 2 Ether Gust, I definitely wouldn't blame you, and that would probably make you a little better into that matchup. Well, honestly, Fae of Wishes is fine. Retro, I'd also definitely recommend like checking out some of the videos that I've made and like watching the video from this stream if you haven't seen the whole thing. Get a lot of matches in against Red Black. Yeah, it's a tricky matchup and one where it might be honestly kind of fun given how popular that deck is. If Kanye or someone else who's really good at playing Embercleave aggro decks wanted to jump on the stream and like run a bunch of Red Black into this deck, that could be a fun way to spend some time. Just a little demonstration match, see what happens. But yeah, I think the matchup's fine. Historically, I am. Let me actually check. So I'm gonna post a quick link to the stats on this deck for people who haven't seen it. Sort of, I've been keeping track of every match I played with it. Some of these matches will obviously be going back to last season and will reflect a very different metagame. But you can always check. You can just see a full list of games I played if you scroll down far enough and see all the games I played. So let me see what the current record is against decks playing black and red, which are almost always going to be the Embercleave deck rather than say Black Red Sacrifice because that deck doesn't show up too often. Program's just loading now. Okay, loaded. Let me just link here. Still have a 69% win rate throughout all of my arena matches. In constructed ever, so nice. This deck is back to having a 76%, dipped to 75 briefly. Kanye, that is okay. But maybe when you get back and there's a tournament to practice for or something. We just missed ya. It's Embercleave season out here. We miss ya. So that long link I just posted is stats on how the deck's been doing against a bunch of different matchups. And it looks like right now Black-Red has risen to be the second most popular deck, and I have a 69% win rate against Black-Red. Nice. 22 and 10. Pretty much all of that you can assume is against Embercleave decks. Matchup seems fine. Obviously, play skill matters a lot for any of these stats. It matters a lot who I'm up against. Many things could happen that would, if I'm up against Martin Yuza playing the deck, maybe the win rate is below 50%. I'm not sure. But for ladder, which is realistically where almost all of us are going to spend almost all our time, it's been totally fine. All right, so one more minute if anyone wants to ask questions about anything. And by the way, iPhone Fan 5, if you're still around, if you ever have a hand that's like making you struggle, feel free to hit me up on Reddit and just send me a message with a link to a screenshot or something, or let me know what was in the hand, and I'd be happy to let you know my perspective against it. And of course, it helps if you let me know sort of what your opponent is playing if you happen to know at the time. And yeah, thanks again for everybody who showed up and everyone who's still watching, even though we've stopped playing Magic for a while now. We went 6-0. We went from number 11 to number 4. It's a hard climb, but happy we made it. Happy we got folks like Croaky stopping by. Croakies, come and get me. I want to play against you with your green-white deck. I've been playing against your green-white deck a lot, but it's just not the same without the star streamer behind it. So come at me. And with that, I think we'll call it good night. Thanks again, everyone, for showing up. And if you didn't catch this, you can see the video in my videos list. I don't have subscriber-only videos. You can just watch it. And it'll go up my YouTube later. So thanks again, everybody. Good night.